Want to hold a massive chess tournament with dozens of clubs or hundreds of players? Or maybe a small chess tournament with local but competitive clubs? With Club Arenas, you can. Club Arenas allow for tournaments of any size with any number of clubs and players. Customize the arena with any time control, with standard chess or mini chess variants, and with any starting position you want. Club Arenas are the most flexible tournament format on Chess.com. Try one out today.
And coming in October, the FIDE Chess.com Grand Swiss will take place this time in Riga, Latvia. 2 spots of the 2022 Candidates Tournament will be at stake, and also 1 spot for the Women's Candidates Tournament, as well as a prize fund of $550,000. Danya, I told David yesterday, I can't even read out that big of a number. I never in my life have seen so much money, but that's the prize fund.
That's crazy. And obviously a lot of the players are really there for the candidate spots. Last year, we had Kirill, or I suppose 2 years ago now, we had Kirill Alexeyenko qualifying for the candidates. So anything can happen in those tournaments, and anything can happen in the arena as the games have officially begun.
Indeed, in this year's Pro Chess League, as we mentioned, we are seeing a very new, refreshing format. Leon Bees, though, is the very same username of the top French player in the world, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, facing one of the Indian prodigies, Nihal Sarin.
Yeah, Nihal is, of course, a legendary blitz player. He's over 3,100, and you don't get that rating by accident, Anna, as we see a Nimzo Indian Queen's Gambit-ish kind of opening.
Yeah, I can't quite understand how people can have such a high rating. I never in my life realized that it's even possible to go above 3,000, but Nihal is proving 3,100 easy peasy.
It's crazy. And we just want to remind everybody that there is no increment in the arena. This is 3+0, which means we are going to see flagging. We are going to see time scrambles. And we're going to see all sorts of interesting stuff. Knight H4, I really like what Nihal is doing here in the early going, attacking that pawn. And if Maxime castles, there's already Greek gift ideas hanging in the air. Knight G4 could come. This is looking scary for the Frenchman with 3 names.
Indeed, I like it a lot for Nihal. And the question is, as you mentioned, Danya, if there's anything concrete already with the sacrifice, or does he still need to prepare for this and develop the rest of his pieces?
Yeah, you can tell the wheels are turning in Nihal's brain, and the 3-minute time control, you really need to be careful about these critical moments, because in the blink of an eye, 30 seconds could disappear. You could play a calm move like Queen C7 here. Okay, but there goes Knight G4. He is going directly for the throat, and something is going to be sacrificed. I don't know what or where, but we're going to see some knight sacrificed here, and I think.
I love those 2 knights there. I'm just wondering if it's time for White to bail out and try to just trade on E5, but that would have brought the potentially the rook into the game as well. So Knight G3 blocks the diagonal. For now, H2 is defending, and he goes back to G6.
He goes back. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, now if Maxime goes H3, well, there was another. So yeah, Knight's coming back. I think the Queen's going to come out to H4, though. There it is. And Maxime bringing as many defenders as possible. I mean, Knight G4 would be met with H3. Okay, Bishop G4, still very, very scary here for White.
Yeah, I guess 92.
Maxime.
Yeah, just this 92 move. So he solidifies that G3 knight. If not, Knight G4 H3. There were tactics on E3. So he just made sure that there's no sacrifice. There's no capture available for black. And with the queen on D4, I think he's now comfortable making sure that they can trade.
Indeed, and there comes the trade. Nihal striking on the other side of the board, A5, as Maxime centralizes his knight. He's also up in time. 30 seconds is a big time advantage. And it's unclear who benefits on the queen side, because Maxime could prepare B5 here. There's that pre-move. No, Nihal messed something up there, and I like Maxime's position now. Good blockading knight. Still probably within the range of equality, but there comes B5.
Yeah, and the time pressure is also on Nihal this time. He had somewhat a few seconds more time, at least, out of the opening, but he spent a lot on that moment you mentioned, Danya, about Knight G4, whether there were any sacrifices, how to attack. And I think now that is missing from the clock clearly.
Yeah, he would love 20 more seconds. There comes Bishop A4, pressuring this pawn on C6. Nihal has a couple of things he can do. He can go Rook A5 and try to double on the A file. He can go Rook E to C8. But that seems, well, that's a little bit passive. He plays it. But Nihal is also one of the strongest bullet players in the world. Often not talked about, Anna, I think, when people talk about the best bullet players, but I contend that Nihal is definitely to be ranked in the top 10, probably in the top 5.
Well, Danya, I guess I should have known this when I challenged him for an odds match and I kept losing game after game with time odds. I thought I can flag this guy.
He's so fast, it's unbelievable, actually. G4, but Maxime has dropped the pawn on C5. There was no way to I don't get that move at all. I think there was a way to defend it. Now the knight should come back, and Nihal is going to play C5 at the right moment. He's up a pawn. He's still down on the clock, though. This might end in a draw, but there comes Nihal's pawn. He's up a pawn. He's dominating D4, but gives up that E4 square. Rook A3.
Yeah.
D3.
Oh, nice for the past one to get ready to push D3.
There comes the knight. MBL might lose this. Knight F4. Okay, MBL trying to maneuver the pieces around. Maybe Rook C8 check at the right moment will give some counterplay.
D3 I really like, but yes, you are right that we need to watch out for the black king. At the moment, it doesn't seem that there's a follow-up.
No. Rook A4 trying to get that knight off the board. 30 seconds for Nihal. Will he find the crushing ideas here? Knight back to D2, and MBL is still holding on for now. King up to G3. Okay.
The knights are getting into the position. Knight E2 check now. Will the other knight come to F4?
MBL's going to give a check and probably repeat. Bishop E4. Now, I think white might even be playing for a win here. But
with a time advantage. Mm-hmm.
Now, if the bishop moves, you drop another pawn. You've got to defend it. There comes the other knight again.
You said Nihal is one of the fastest players in the world. Can he do it with 19 seconds on the clock?
I think he's going to win this. But
really?
Maybe, he allows King E3. I thought there was a brief chance there. Now I'm amending my opinion. Still, it's better for black. Rook is coming to H3. Black could still win this. I'm telling you. Oh, knight C7. Knight C7 fork. He's got a fork for like 10 moves. Oh my God, he's got another rook.
He did not. He did not.
Oh my God, now white might be better. Oh my God.
10 seconds left for Nihal. MBL is unmovable. Now he's winning the rook.
He's winning the rook. Oh, he shouldn't have done that, but it's still winning. King G5, Knight G6. Unbelievable. That's what we see in this arena. MBL wins it.
What a game. And Nihal had the knight fork for 2 moves, 2 consecutive moves.
God, even more. It was like 5 moves.
Was it already? Oh my gosh. I think it happened so fast that I couldn't fully understand, but certain on mischance, I guess both players were winning and losing at the same time at certain stages of that game.
What a game. As we tune into, I don't even know who's playing white. Black is a respectable GM. White is bad commentator, bad blitz player. Is there anything redeeming about this Hess guy?
I guess it's just the fact about the name, and the lucky guy that has chess almost in his name. Almost.
He's up in exchange here, and he's playing, I think is that Leandro Crisa, Argentinian GM, who's got a bishop on D4. Very, very powerful bishop. So black's got compensation. It's a very messy position. White's king, really, really weak here. Hess has to be very careful.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, Robert Hess is playing for the French team that actually is in first place, but so is the India Yogis and the Poland Hussars. Argentina is just 1 point behind. This is the closest start we have seen to the arena. Basically, all the teams, all the players are on the same score.
Wow. Yeah, really, really close.
And Argentina going from 4th place to 1st place because they have just finished one of their games, and that's a 2-point win, of course. As we said, 1 point for a draw, 2 points for a win.
Correct. And I think that once you get on a winning streak, there's no additional points, right? If you win 2 in a row or 3 in a row?
No, not in this format. Yeah, it's just 2 points. But because it's an arena, yesterday we did see players who would resign early enough in a game just to be able to get more and more games in.
Yeah, that's an important strategy to be aware of if you think you're losing. Now, black is contemplating this move. Bishop takes F2 check, and then the queen can't take. This is really, really complicated, and he just did that. Oh yeah, King E2, and now Queen E4 check would drop the bishop, so the queen probably has to maintain contact to the bishop, but this might have been a mistake by black. I don't know. This is super complex.
I mean, just Robert going for the delayed bonclad, but he didn't choose the right moment for it. It doesn't seem to work here.
That's right. I mean, now Rook F1 would pin the bishop, but Rook F8 would defend it. Can Robert get to that bishop on f2? I actually don't think so. The eval bar looking very skeptical here, not liking the position of White's king. Now Robert dipping on the clock. This might be trouble for White.
Seems to be troublesome. A bishop and a pawn for the rook, but it's the weakness of the White king that is the biggest factor here.
Correct. Yeah, rook f1, rook f8, and then queen f3 checkmate would be a huge threat. Robert now 30 seconds. Rook f8.
Takes a pawn on h5. Brave decision, but should be punishable.
Rook f8, queen d3. Now the bishop's going to move back and pave the way for that queen. Oh, but queen h7 is a threat. That's one thing Black has to be careful about. Maybe g6 should be thrown in. There it is.
And so Oksuna does Leandro Sergio Krisa here with the black pieces.
That's an interesting last name. Krisa means rat in Russian.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, I studied Russian, but I don't think I went this deep into animal names.
Right.
Rat.
How unbelievable and unacceptable. You don't know how to say rat in Russian. What are you doing commentating here?
I'm sorry. I should give my diploma back for studying Russian philology.
Okay, so we have, well, this is not too interesting of a game. We have Pragnananda against Camille Dragoon in what seems to be a pretty balanced rook end game.
Lovely pawn structure, but I guess it doesn't matter here.
Right. Okay, king e6. Ooh, there's some traps here. I mean, if you play bc4, there might be rook takes c4 and d5 check. But that pawn endgame is lost for Black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the order is important because if you push d5 first, that's even worse than what it should be. White takes with a check on d5. Rook c5 instead. Makes sense. Makes sense to bring the rook on the 5th rank.
Right, king. Okay, the rook swings has to get active because with Black's pawn structure, you have to have something to compensate it. This looks more drawish than anything. Maybe White can go rook b1, rook b6. No, not rook b5, but rook b6. How do you stop rook g2, though? Oh, rook g2, there's going to be king f3 and king g3 trapping the rook. What an idea. And
that's beautiful. Beautiful. So the Black needs to retreat.
Don't take
Where's he going?
Where is he going? Rook g back to g5. Still drawish because the rook can swing all the way over to a5, which I think he's going to do. He's going to give a check first.
And Pragnananda is trying rook c3 with the attempt of rook a3, but rook a5 came in the right moment to attack the pawn. That is, ladies and gentlemen, one of the youngest grandmasters in the world, Pragnananda. Still so young, never aging. He has been around for a few years by now.
And every time his name is mentioned, I was talking with my friends about Nihal. It's like every time his name is mentioned, he's always 15 or 14. And Pragnananda is even younger. But you just get the sense that they never age, like you said.
Yeah, it does feel like that. And indeed, that the two of them, both Pragnananda and Nihal Sarin, got the Grandmaster norm, the final norm at a very young age, and still they are extremely young.
Yep. And this is going to be a good old-fashioned time scramble. Black is totally fine here. This is still pretty much equal. We might see some sort of a repetition, or we might see one of them playing for a win. Big time advantage for Camille. Let's see their bullet skills, Anna.
Do you think that Camille will try to flag, or is Pragnananda the faster player and he can make up for the disadvantage a few seconds?
Prag's definitely more experienced, but the time disadvantage is really vast. And these players tend to step up. Okay, you got to move the king back to b7. Okay.
We have 7 seconds left. Do you even have time to look at the clock? Or did you just know that
pre-move? No, this is going to be rook versus rook, time scramble. Rook a7, rook a5, and Black is winning. Oh my God, he's going to promote. Oh, he caught him. He caught him on a free move.
He caught him, but the time.
Oh, he's going to cut off the king. He's going to free move. Oh, he's going to lose that time. Wow.
Away from checkmate. He just needed his last move. Goodness me.
Oh, my lands. That's crazy.
And that was a game where Pragnananda had less time. And he ends up flagging his opponent with a king.
You know what the mistake was? The mistake was Camille was trying to mate him. But what you need to do in those positions is just move the queen back and forth, try to cut off the king, prevent your opponent's free moves. When you try to actually play for mate, by definition, that takes longer. And even 0.1 seconds is life or death, literally, in these positions.
We are learning a lot. We are learning a lot today. Don't play for checkmate. Also avoid stalemate. But yeah, I guess he should have just tried to win on time. He was this close to that checkmate, but he couldn't.
What an end game. And right now we're watching Genghis, that's Federico Perez Ponsa, playing Yarabor. I'm not sure who that is, international master.
Yeah, let me look that up. That's Pavel Teklov, international master from Poland.
Yeah, Teklov just played in the online Olympiad, so he's very strong, well over 2,500 FIDE. And he's assembling pretty nice initiative here on the king side with his knights. He could go h5 and chase the bishop away.
And the bishop goes back to d1, so there are no tricks with the sacrifice on h3 if it was on f3. Plus the pawn structure obviously would have been terrible. So you need to hide the bishops. The other bishop comes back to c1.
We can have 6. Ooh, if you have to play f3, that's not a great. I don't like that move at all. That weakens all these little dark squares here.
Yeah, that means that now if white has to ever take on f4, the dark squares will be even weaker, looking very difficult for white here.
Yeah, but how does black exploit it? Maybe you just play a slow move like rook a8, and that's the thing I keep talking about. You got to make that practical decision of, you know, not necessarily looking for the absolute best move, but instead conserving your time. But Pavel deciding to take, wait, what about bishop takes f4 and then taking g5?
Are we missing something here? What's his trick? Is there a trick?
Maybe he wants 96. White's got to have something here. Now the rook is hanging and the bishop is hanging, but White's got to have a tactic here. What is it? Wow, this is a crazy idea. Queen c1, and knight takes
the
f4.
Time. Yeah, it does seem that there's something, but it is taking a lot of time for white to find it.
Maybe get the bishop around to b2 like that and then try to trap the queen. Bishop c1, but that's I mean, if that works for white, that's crazy too. I have a feeling, no, he didn't see anything, and now Pavel's idea is justified.
Wow.
It may come through on these dark squares.
I guess in a practical sense, it was a very strong decision by the Polish IM, because it was very difficult to find a refutation, if there was any. Maybe he didn't even see a refutation himself.
Right, and now queen g5. This looks like it's lost for white, but somehow he's clinging on, counterattacking the knight, and you got to be careful. You don't move the knight back to e6 as you give up the rook. Maybe knight d3, but then the rook moves, and white for the time being is more or less safe.
So knight d3 or queen e5 to guard the knight, but there's no further attack, it seems.
Queen e5 is a great move, though, even because the endgame looks just terrible for white with a monster knight like that. White should probably take on h4 there. Does go knight d3.
Now what's going to happen now with the pins?
There's another one.
That's the thing, everyone's pinning everyone.
I would just go give a queen e5 check, go into the end game, because there you can play faster.
Queen
e3.
c3.
Oh, no. But then you can take the rook, because that queen is defended by the rook.
Wow, the patterns here. So many pins and attacks. Rook e2 steps out of everything for now.
Oh my God, now if you take the knight, this is giving me a headache. Yes. Bring me some Advil. Okay, we finally have a trade, and now white is amazingly just up a pawn. Federico's going to win this game.
Up a pawn and also up on the clock. This is very promising for the Krakens.
Yeah, and Federico also a bullet wizard. And I can say that firsthand. He's no longer up a pawn, but now Pavel's pawn structure is weak. The only thing concerning here is white's king. So Federico doing a good job trading his pieces. He's going to flag him. Yeah,
now the d6 pawn is off of the board too. And 43 seconds versus 26 seems to be quite a big gap.
Indeed. Queen trade would give white plenty of flagging chances. So queen d7, queen d6 here. Decides to keep them on the board, and he just blundered. He
gave up the h4 pawn with a check and has to retreat to not get checkmated almost.
Yeah, now black should have taken the draw, though. Pavel should have continued checking white. I can't believe he actually played for a win. Look at the time disparity.
He's playing for a win because he's up a pawn, but he has no time.
And he's no longer up a pawn, and now this is going to be flagging city. We're going to see the Argentina flaggers at work here.
Unfortunately, that is the situation with no increment. This is part of the rules. The player with the more time usually wins at the end. Doesn't matter the position.
Yeah, and that's just part of the game. You can see 7 seconds, and great move there to. Okay, Federica's got to speed up a little bit. Pavel playing quickly, but not quickly enough. E6, and it's over.
Yeah, now even the position collapses because he was trying to be as fast as he could, but misses E6. Wow, this is a really exciting game. And the fact that Pavel didn't take the draw when he could have, he was very brave, but in the end, the time punished him.
Indeed. Yeah. And you just got to be incredibly, like, the clock really is like another piece. As we see another win, Jospem from Peru, he's won 4 in a row, and MVL has won 4 in a row. They both have 13 points to top off the individual standings.
Wow, not bad, not bad. Scoring for the India Yogis and MVL obviously for the France Roosters.
Yeah, and let's see if Robert can climb back here. He's had a rough start to this arena. He's playing black here against Abu Dhabi. Is that Puranik? Abhimanyu Puranik? I'm trying to remember. I
would guess so, yes, and it's confirmed. That's a Puranik indeed. Another very strong grandmaster from the Indian team.
Indeed, and this is looking pretty good for Robert. He's up on time. Oh, Rook D1 is such a tricky move, though. Threatening knight takes C4 check. Man, these players are just... Everyone's finding tactics. Nobody wants to let their team down.
Yeah, where will that king go? Will Robert try to step out of the D file?
Yeah, my guess would be probably king E5. The problem is you can't really go back to C7 because then you drop the A pawn. Maybe you should just take on H5.
Yeah, because H takes G6 is a threat too. And that's probably the heavier threat here.
Indeed, but he's got to watch his clock here. So easy on it to slip into that, thinking mindset. And A3 would be a really tricky move here because it would threaten knight takes C4.
Oh, I like that a lot. A4 instead.
Probably wants to push that pawn at A5.
Yeah, A3 I thought was a really cool idea by you, Danya, because the king was in this checkmate pattern.
Right. Now you could take on E4 with the bishop. Okay, gives a check instead. Oh, man, this is not looking good for Robert either. A5, and it's basically over. Oh, no.
Yeah, the knight has no good retreating squares. Bishop D8. Robert is giving up the piece.
Yeah, now Rook comes back. Still some chances. That bishop's in trouble. Abhimanyu gives it up for a bunch of pawns, though, and the king still stuck in the center. This is still not looking good for black. Rook's going to take, and then Rook F4. Okay, he takes with the knight. That's also good.
Yeah, sadly for Robert, we are not really bringing him good luck, I think.
No, we should stop watching his games.
I know.
We should stop watching his games.
He knows that we are doing it. Now there's a fork with knight G3. I think that's going to be resignation. Yeah,
we can, I think, go to another game. Let's see how MVL is faring. He's won 4 in a row. He's won 4 out of 4. Let me see if I can pull up that game of his.
The Indian team doing extremely well already has an 11-point lead over the Krakens and 12-point lead over the French team. Plus this game of Robert also will add more, especially when it's basically India versus France in that matchup, and the Indian player is winning again. So they are taking those 2 points from the French team.
Right. And here we see MVL's game against Pakleja. But look at the time difference. This is insane. 1 minute.
Then the tactics here with the knight jumps, but I think that was the end of it after the check, king c8. It's just impossible with 12 seconds left on the clock against the #1 French player, and strong moves on top of it, not just the speed.
Indeed. And now, just to give an example, this move F3, if you take it, then Rook C2 skewers the bishop. MVL sees that stuff in a fraction of a second, which is just insane.
He doesn't even blink. It feels like we are looking at a portrait of the #1 French player here. Have you ever seen him blink?
Still frame. No, I don't think he has. No, his eyes just moves.
It moves a bit from left to right, but I don't think I've seen him blink.
No, he has not. There. I think
Now
that,
that the game is over. The game is
Right.
over.
He
He can blink
really
now.
funny, actually.
Well done, Envia. Well done. Leon Beast, that
Indeed.
is.
Are there anybody who you are sort of personally interested in, or do you think we should keep watching the top games? Anybody you think flies under the radar?
I was hoping for Robert's game to be like our personal pick, but I also think we are jinxing him. So let's move back to the top games and let Robert breathe.
We're gonna let Robert try to say, oh, he's in a bad position again. Okay, we're gonna leave him be, and I want to watch. We're gonna leave him be. Man, every time we click, it's like the position immediately declines.
Oh no. It must be the commentators first.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I'm gonna try to get up Nihal's game here.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great choice.
And let's see. Pull it up here. Let's see who he's playing. There we go.
In the meantime, unfortunately, Robert's position is not improving. So I think he really wants us to move to another game.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the game here.
Take your time. I'm just saying that Robert is bleeding, unfortunately.
Yep, he's down a pawn. And, you know, when you're in this kind of a stretch, it's just really hard to get out of it. It's an arena format. The new game keeps starting.
Yeah, there are no breaks. So for those of you just joining us, this is a brand new format of the Pro Chess League, 2 hours of Blitz chess nonstop. The players have no breaks. It's 2 hours, 3-0 time control, no increment, super fast paced, very refreshing new format. And that is what we're going to see for the first 4 days of the Pro Chess League. And as we already mentioned too with Danya, that the first phase of our broadcast is the arena, and then the second part of the show is the match between the second and third place team to see who will qualify.
Right. And still trying to get Nihal's game up here.
We can also go to another game if we cannot find his game, because there's obviously a wide variety of choice when it comes to strong Indian players. Pragnananda is also playing, and so many other very strong grandmaster from the Yogis team.
Indeed, and I'm also trying to get that game up. Let's see, where is he? Yeah, apologies. I think there's a brief issue with the games coming up. Let me see if I can pull up Prag's game. I think that we're actually going to go on a very brief break to resolve this. And when we come back, we are going to see the mechanism of this India team, who is doing the heavy lifting. Well, they all are, but we're going to take just a quick break. And we hope you don't go anywhere. Fascinating action here at the Arena Royale.
See you guys soon in a short time. Welcome back, everyone, to the brand new Pro Chess League season with a brand new format. This is Arena Royale, and we have an hour and a half left of a 3-minute blitz action with the strongest, best players out there. 4 players today. India, France, Poland, and Argentina are competing. Danya, how do you see this brand new format so far?
It's lovely. I think it's really innovative. I love the interplay between the team element and the individual element, because we've got individual prizes and individual players, but obviously they're all part of a team. So I'm loving this. We're watching MVL's game right now, Anna, and shockingly, there was a mutual blind spot here, which I was just amazed to see. In this position, White had won immediately with the move d5, attacking the bishop, and if you take it, the bishop swoops into b6. Simply, the queen is trapped. But it was missed actually for 2 moves, and now MVL, you know, these players, they don't give you second chances. You miss something like that, that's it.
That was a very big missed opportunity, it seems, for the Argentinian team. And as you said, there will be no second opportunity because MVL is now in fully control of what's happening. He's got a pair of bishops to fight against a rook and a bishop, but c4. Actually, I was going to say it looks like a very strong move because of c3, but d6, intermediate
that's
move.
That's a cool move. Yeah, now if you take the bishop, White takes the other bishop, and definitely, but MVL desperado sacrificing it on a3. But again, one of MVL's top strategies, he is very, very fast. He always has a minute extra on the clock, which is insane for a 3-minute time control. And I don't think White's going to manage this with 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy to see this much of a time advantage again for MVL, but he earns it. He does it by playing extremely fast and very strong as well. Difficult when you have both the speed and the accuracy.
Ooh, and there comes the bishop. Bishop takes g6. White has to give up that exchange back. And MVL now can play this for 30 years. He's got an extra pawn. And he can make as many moves as he wants in this position. H4.
Yeah. Opposite colored bishop. So in a classical game, this would be a good chance for a draw, but not with blitz and 19 seconds on the clock.
Nope. Yeah, this definitely should be a draw. Oh, now bishop takes b2 exists. There it is. Winning a second pawn. And I think we're just going to see resignation here by White.
Yeah, losing both on time and on the position too. Still continues, I guess, because you don't get to play against MVL every single day. So True. It's an honor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think these players, obviously they're trying to qualify for their team, but they're also just enjoying it. I mean, we've got some legends playing, and it's a huge experience for anybody to play. Someone like MVL.
We've got some legends, and Robert Hess.
Oh, bishop a4, trying to get dirty there, but MVL, he sees right past that. No need to pre-move for black. And do you think MVL knows how to mate with queen and bishop extra?
Yeah, and so he does it. No stalemates here by Leon Bees. Gets another point for the French Roosters, and yet it is the India Yogis who's leading with a 20-point gap already.
Indeed, yeah, huge result. And they've got Jaspem. That's one of the reasons. He is, of course, Peruvian, but he plays for the Yogis, and he's been doing amazingly in this arena so far. I think in the individual standings, he and MVL are far ahead of the pack right now, both with 25 points, both of them. And get this, both with 7 out of 7.
7 out of 7?
That's right.
Is it going to be 8 out of 8 now that we are jinxing Robert again? He seems to be doing better here. He has an actually good position.
He's definitely slightly better here. He's got that pressure down the d file. That rook might come into d2. Obviously, Jaspem is a good knight, and he's got a time advantage, but Robert is really good in these types of positions, and he's going to be hungry for a big win. Will he be the one to deal the first loss to Jaspem?
7 out of 7 is insane. Not a single draw.
Crazy. I mean, in this kind of field, with everybody being titled, and there comes bishop e4, it's danger time for White's king. Jaspem kind of curls up into a ball here. Rook c1. Right.
I like that he's trying to hold everything together and has a bit more time. So Robert really needs to speed up. At the same time, it's so difficult when a draw was offered, I guess.
Okay. That's a reasonable decision. He's got a minute. He's got less time. So Robert, still, he nicks Jaspem for half a point. Now he's got a miserable 7.5 out of 8.
Miserable 7.5. But Robert is the one that stopped him, so that is something. Maybe for Robert it means from here on he's gonna start a winning streak. We hope so.
That's like a basketball player hitting a free throw. That's sometimes all you need. Is you don't even always need a win. You just need to get on the board, get a confident draw, and the confidence level goes up. We're watching Genghis Argentina, and does need to mount a. It's way too early to talk about a comeback. There's well over an hour left, but they can't fall too far behind here as they're currently in last place.
Indeed, here with the black pieces, Federico Ponsa, Genghis, that username obviously is a very known face at Chess.com events, but so is Mihal's. Oh my
God, they just blundered a bishop. Genghis is not in great form this tournament. I've seen him a couple of times, very uncharacteristic, literally just gives up a bishop, and now he can resign.
That was so out of the blue. The blunder, he had enough time. It didn't look like there was anything to miss apart from the fact that the bishop was clearly hanging.
Jeez. Yeah, just nerves, that's part of it. They know they're representing their teams. And we've seen a couple of uncharacteristic blunders here. Now, Nihal doesn't have a lot of time, but this is a pretty easy conversion.
Yeah, great tournament so far for the Indian team, but the Argentinians, even though they are in fourth place, it's not that big of a difference between the Hussars and the Krakens, I'm thinking. So with an hour and 21 minutes to go, I think it's wide open who's going to take the second and third place, and maybe even the first, because only first qualifies for sure.
Indeed, and 16 points sounds like a lot, but in reality, one little good stretch could change everything. So we have only one player with a perfect score, and that is MBL. He has been dominating, and he is winning again, this time beating Kasper Drozdowski from Poland. Again, look at the time advantage.
Not the same Kasper, but maybe just as scary of a player, intimidating with those pawns. No, I really like White's position, and the bar agrees that the king on d6 is looking a bit shaky.
And there comes a4. Yeah, MBL has something to say about those pawns. Kasper trying to stir up intrigue on the queen side, but MBL just takes all his pawns. That king on d6 is going to be the death sentence for black. Queen f4, now queen f3, and then white can simply take the pawn. Bishop e4, that's also good. Wow.
Yeah, this suddenly has collapsed for the queen side of black. So many pawns were just taken in these last couple of moves, and what remains on the board is 2 healthy extra pawns, third pawn, 3 extra pawns now.
Right. Wow, MBL's gained some rating, some blitz rating too. I think he started something like 3,010, and now he's 3,050. At this rate, the leaderboard is going to be shaken up.
He's trying to catch up with Nihal's rating, I guess. 8 out of 8, is it that, or already 9 out of 9? Was it his 8th win?
Yeah, he's 8 out of 8 right now.
Impressive. The only player on 100% score, that's the Frenchman with 3 names, Maxime Vachelagrave.
Indeed, and right now we're watching a time scramble as Mateusz Bartel and Rod Alquilar. Ooh, 3 seconds now. Will Mateusz manage? Yeah, good pre-moving there. And it's enough of a time advantage for white here.
Leonardo Tristan with the 0.1 second on the clock with the black pieces, but obviously that's way too short of a time.
Indeed.
2 queens to add to the clock.
Absolutely. And I want to watch Robert get, I think, his first win, because he is definitely, I think if everything goes well, he's much better. And he's playing Lukas Lichnerski here from Poland. He's got dominating pieces. Rook a3 wins.
And he played it, right? He played it.
Is it okay to root for Robert? I feel like I need to be unbiased as a commentator, but oh, rook takes f2. Oh, that's a sick move. He can play.
I think he will play it. I think he will go for it. And I guess it's a case where we are forgiven for rooting for a player.
Right. I think the chat can forgive us. And something funny is that, so if rook takes f2, then rook takes g3 is mate. White can try to take the knight first and say, well, let me take the knight and then take the rook. But this is check. So we've seen that a couple of times now. It's very important when a move comes with check.
He actually took on f2 already, or is it our analysis?
He took it.
Oh my gosh, he's just playing it with perfect precision. Rook takes f2.
This looked like a really nice game. Look at that knight. All of his pieces are breathing. It's over.
I'm so glad that we are not jinxing it anymore. That draw was needed. That draw. It started a good positive streak for Robert.
Yeah, we're going to keep our eyes on whether Robert, he's got 2 out of 7 right now, but plenty of time to turn this tournament around. And France pretty comfortably, but look at that lead, Anna. It keeps getting extended. Now it's about 30 points.
Wow, the India Yogis, that is huge. We still have more than half of the arena left, but so far the Indian players have been very impressive. Every single time we tune in with their games, they are winning a point or two.
Indeed. And yeah, there was a pretty boring end game there that I decided to switch away from.
That's
MBL,
all right.
Again, very comfortable, but let's watch Nihal. Let's see how he's doing. And let's
so
see
MVL in the meantime about to get his 9th win in a row, 9 out of 9. Looking like that. Again, more time, better end game.
Yeah, rook c4, rook d4. Again, 154 to 119. It's unbelievable how easy he makes it look. And it's just like you watch and then you say, I can do that too. And then you go out and somehow it doesn't quite work like that. I'm definitely guilty of that when I watch super GMs at work.
Yeah, and will he be the one that takes the first prize of today, the $1,000? Because a quick reminder on the format and the prices of this format that we also have individual prices. So there are team prices the squads are fighting for, but also the best player, who so far clearly is MVL 9 out of 9. This is looking like with this next win, he's easily taking home that 1K so far. But we shall see what happens in the second part of the arena.
Indeed. No, so far he's doing great, but he's tailed closely by Jospem. And they're obviously not thinking about the individual prizes. They're thinking about the team prizes, but they wouldn't mind $1,000.
Yeah, and we also have prices for the best streams, by the way, best stream for teams and best individual stream as well. So I'm sure that many of these players are streaming right now on their own channels. Keep an eye out for that. Everyone here on Twitch, I think you guys are following their channels. If not, make sure to check it out. Chess category and which players are streaming.
Indeed, that's how you discover new people. And bishop takes h6. Easy win, I think, here for Nihal. Who is he playing? King of the Nil. I feel like I've heard that name on Chess.com, but
the Nil, that's Michal Boyer, international master from France.
Rook f3 is trying to sack the exchange here. And okay, this is actually not so simple. Queen might come to c4, but Nihal hiding his king over in the corner.
And it seems it wasn't needed. The king move, suddenly the bar was giving a bit of a chance to black as well. But it's such a chaotic position that it's very difficult to guess the first move of the engine.
It takes d4. Somehow black has created a lot of counterplay. Because of that 92
fork, White couldn't take on d4.
That. Wow. This is cool stuff. Now maybe bishop will drop back to e3. I still feel like with the time advantage, Nihal should be okay. But rook b3 could come. There it is. Nihal kind of losing the thread a little bit. Ooh, now black might be the one attacking here.
And this is France versus India. These 2 points are very important for the Roosters to get closer to the Yogis on the standings.
Indeed. Rook f1. Black is definitely better now, but he's running short of time in it. I'm sure he's feeling very nervous facing a beast like Nihal.
Yeah, with 20 seconds left to decide, I think this is too short, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't see what to do. H-pawn is just running up the board.
And that's a very simple plan. Why for black, he had to find, probably there was a sacrifice. I'm not exactly sure what was the right pattern there, but black does not have enough time to figure it out.
No, rook takes f3. And wait, queen e4. And actually, black might be winning here after knight h4, but he's only got 2 seconds and he's not going to make it. But amazingly, he wins the queen and not quite fast enough.
7 seconds.
So close, but no cigar. And Nihal takes this game by hook or by crook, one way or another. He pulls it off. And we're going to go on another very quick break, Anna. And we'll keep watching all of these amazing players at work when we return.
See you guys very shortly for the rest of the Pro Chess League Arena Royale. Welcome back, everyone, to the broadcast of the Pro Chess League Arena Royale. This is a brand new format and brand new host, I guess, because I never hosted before with Danya, and I'm honored. Thank you so much, Danya, for taking the basically the gauntlet. I don't think I'm an easy person to work with. I have very bad jokes, but I guess that's why we are a good match, because you also have your puns. I've heard some of those.
No, I love bad jokes. I'm in the minority there, but send all the puns my way. I know not many people can appreciate a bad pun, but I can say with great pleasure that I can.
Amazing really to hear. Amazing to hear that. I can't wait for the rest of the show and how many puns you will throw our way. But also, speaking of the new format, let's just remind the viewers of what is it like, this brand new format. Fancy name, Arena Royale, but it also means that we have something new to talk about when it comes to a 2-hour arena with a time control of 3-minute blitz games, no increment. And we have in each group 4 teams competing. The highest scoring team will advance after the 2-hour arena, while the second and third place team will play a knockout ladder match. The fourth team, sorry, not player, but in this case, the fourth team will be eliminated, unfortunately. So that means, Danya, that after 2 hours of arena, we're gonna stay here for the second part of the broadcast, and that will be another brand new, refreshing ladder match between the second and third place teams.
Yeah, I really like tournaments or any events that have multiple, and as we see Robert winning a rook here and winning another game.
Whoa.
I love, we actually didn't jinx him. Although I said winning the game. Okay, great. Good stuff from Robert. But I love these tournaments that have multiple formats worked into them because, you know, some people like the arena format more. Some people like a head-to-head match. Well, we got both for you today, and we got a lot of legends playing. And MBL facing very stiff opposition here. Raunak is up a pawn. This is definitely not going to be a win for MBL. Will he manage to hold a draw, though?
Yeah, MVL so far has been the only player that is on 100% score. Is that still 9 out of 9, 10 out of 10? Have we missed any games since we last checked in with him? 10 out of 10. Whoa!
Unbelievable. But he is losing to Raunak in this game. And as we see the standings, 141, yes, that is not a typo. India is simply crushing it today.
Ronak Sadhwani, with a rating of 3,000, will be the only player to take down MVL. I must say, the first time I heard about Ronak, I was a bit surprised. Like, who is this 13-year-old boy? And he almost beat Vishy Anand at that tournament where I first saw him at the age of 13. I was like, all right, I think he's going to be strong, pretty strong.
Yeah, why would you think that? I mean, almost beating Anand, nothing special about that accomplishment, right?
And the crazy thing is that he played fearless that game at Isle of Man. He just kept sacrificing a pawn or two for the initiative against one of his role models, obviously, in India, when growing up as a kid. And he mentioned himself that Vishy Anand is his favorite world champion of all time.
Right. And Vishy is such an idol, such a hero to so many. And obviously chess in India is in a boom. It's flourishing. So many young prodigies. It's been great to see. But you know, MBL, one of the things that makes these legends into the legends that they are, they never die. You think, okay, finally it's time to resign, but they keep playing. Black has an extra pawn and 2 passed pawns. White has only 1. So Black will try to walk the king maybe to c5. No, this has to be winning, as the d pawn will start rushing up the board.
Has to be winning, but Ronak has less time. Is 39 seconds, sorry, enough for him to manage?
In this endgame, it is, because the pawns basically push themselves. d4, h4. You can start with h4 and bishop g2. Even with 15 seconds, he would win this. It's over. I would just go bishop g2 and then h3.
Wow.
There it is.
And that's exactly what's happening. I was gonna ask if you think that MVL will try, but I guess it's at the stage where no, it's still plenty of time to convert with the piece up.
Yeah, and Raunak they're all great bullet players. And MVL's first loss, he's merely got 10 out of 11 now. And he's been surpassed in the individual standings by Jasmine, who has 12 out of 13. What an incredible score by Jose Alcantara. Incredible
performance by our very own streamer. Do check out Jospam's channel. I'm sure that he is currently streaming his games as usual. He's a very regular streamer here on the Chess.com arena tournament, and now for the PCL too.
Indeed. He's great. There's quite a few new Spanish streamers, grandmasters, IMs trying their hand. So it's been great to see Twitch, expand to so many different languages. Chess fans from all around the world can now cheer for their streamers. And Justin, we saw him briefly on camera there. Didn't look too happy. His facial expression belies the incredible score that he has. And he's got a really nice position here against Gary Kasparov. No, just kidding. Kasper Jostowski from Poland.
Yeah, if you only see the username, you're thinking, "Oh my, such a strong opponent." That is incredible about Jospam. He almost looks bored, and he's doing extremely well.
And just playing an arena, he's just got 12 out of 13. Just another day in the office. Yeah, but it would be funny if Gary Summer watching this game. Who is this, Kasparov? Who is throwing to impersonate me? This is completely unacceptable. He's probably rooting for Jospam.
Oh my God, I didn't know you had that voice. That was great.
Well, Kasparov's one of my sort of original ones. I think it's deteriorated slightly. I gotta listen to some more interviews.
I thought that was spot on. Let us know. Let us know on Twitch. And what do you think? What do you think of Danya's Gary Kasparov impression? I thought that was spot on. 10 out of 10.
Thank you. That's very sweet. And I would have left the commentary if you'd given me anything less than 10. So good job. I've got some pretty bad ones.
I can't wait for more impressions. Do you have by any chance a Robert Hess impression for the next time we check in on his game?
I'm going to work on that. A Robert impression would not be one of the voice impressions because his voice is so clean, right? I would have to pay attention to phrases.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have one yet, but that's on the radar. Magnus, Robert, there's many that I would like to have. Magnus is extremely hard. The Norwegian accent I've tried many times and I just don't seem to get it sounds too much like a German accent. And I thought it was good, but people tell me, what do you want me to do? I can't do too many phrases in like a Magnus voice, but I'll work on it.
That was pretty good. I think your Kasparov impression is better, but that was a good attempt, much better than mine would be.
The game wasn't smooth enough. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, it wasn't smooth enough. Do you want me to go straight out the opening and win the game like that? I mean, what is it that you want?
Well done, Danya. Well done. We appreciate it. And Kasparov, with a C, appreciates the extra pawns here against Jospam.
Oh my goodness, he's turned it around. I was kind of zoned out of the game. And wait a second, Black is actually winning now. King E5. Don't take on G4 here, because then White would take on E4 and take both of Black's pawns. This is going to be really close though. 30 seconds, and Jospam is just he is a demon in up in time pressure. He might save gives up the
rook. Yeah, he sacrificed an exchange to get rid of one of the pass pawns of Black, and with the 20 extra seconds on the clock, he might just do it. Maybe he will win it on time. What do you think?
Well, we're probably going to see a rook versus knight endgame, and Black should be able to flag this. Jospam is up 20 seconds. My apology. No, this is going to be a draw.
Yeah, now it's a draw with a simplification. I guess that was by Kasparov a good evaluation with 16 seconds left only.
Yeah, but I mean, you can, if your opponent only has a knight though, even if you lose on time, it's a draw. So I would have tried,
True.
But Jospam would have held it for sure. And Nihal is actually in a losing position against FM Antoshu from Poland. Will he turn this around? Who is this legend?
Antoshu must have registered recently on the team, because I don't have him on my list.
Well, he's the FIDE master, and he's out playing Nihal right now. Queen B5, Queen B7. I think, it goes back to D3.
This has been the part of the broadcast where we have seen the highest number of upsets. I feel like all of these players who have been doing really well. MVF was an 100% score. Jospam doing extremely well. And now Nihal himself in trouble.
Yeah, but White just kind of messed this up, allowing that pawn to rush to C4. Black's king is still in trouble as well. F takes G6 and Queen F7 is a threat. Will Nihal manage to hold this together? This might end up in some sort of a draw. King up to H6. Wow, the eval bar showing that Black is actually okay here. Maybe just go C3. White's got a perpetual here, but my guess is White might want to go for more, and that's really dangerous when you're so low on time. I would just take a draw here.
Yeah,
just
with
go
the
for a
bishop
draw.
on e5 and the c pass pawn, it feels like black has more than enough to compensate. But he's thinking because he knows he has one in one hand, he's got the draw, so he's checking if there's any way he could get that rook into the game for a checkmate.
That's exactly what he's thinking about. And he goes for a rook c1. I don't like that decision, but it's gutsy.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll still have perpetual in the next move. So yeah, now he should go for the perpetual. Although maybe
So
he'll go rook a1. No,
Anthony-
queen g4.
Yeah, it's been confirmed that it's Anthony Shostakovsky with the white pieces, FIDE master from Poland. And certainly it's a good chance for him, but he only has 20 seconds left. He should
He's
take
gonna
the
lose.
draw.
He
He
should
should
now.
have taken the draw.
Oh, now he's lost. Unbelievable. And now just c1 equals queen. And then the rook will not be able to move out to f7. So if c1 queen, queen f8. Yeah, and we're going to see all of this unfold. And now the bishop covers and the queen comes back to h6. Okay, it's over. Unbelievable comeback from Nihal. He was completely lost. White was promoting a pawn and up in exchange. But this is why this guy is 3,100. You don't get that rating and that reputation for nothing.
Yeah, but kudos to Anton Shostakovsky, who tried. He was really brave not taking the draw against one of the highest rated opponents.
That's absolutely true. And Robert has climbed back to 5 out of 11. He's on a 2-game streak. And unfortunately, he is going to lose this game to Maciej.
Wait, didn't he have the black pieces and the queen?
I can't tell. Oh, he did have the black piece, didn't he?
I think he just checked.
Oh, he won. Okay,
Yes.
my apologies. I wasn't sure. I was completely disoriented because of where the kings were. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I know it was
actually
very
wins.
confusing. I
shouldn't have
had to
doubted him.
double check. But I was like, he's not gonna stalemate like some of our PogChamp students.
Right? No. Maybe some of his students. But for that to happen, he would have needed 2 queens.
Yes,
Ludwig-
and pre-move the checkmate. Ludwig.
Right, exactly. Yeah, why
Poor
do we
guy.
both have a cough suddenly? And Robert is on a roll. He's winning a pawn. He's playing on Toshu, whose reward for losing to Nihal is now to play a on fire Robert. Oh, this is just destruction in the opening here. White's down a pawn. These knights are aiming all over White's queen side.
Antosha trying to open up the f5, and I'm pretty sure that Robert has a response to this. He truly is on fire, unstoppable.
Probably g5, and he's now on 6 out of 12. He was on 2 out of 7, so you can do the calculations. But yeah, I was a history major. I'm staying out of that. But it's a lot. He scored a lot of points in not a lot of games.
Yes, that we can verify. True fact.
Right.
Well, this is, oh my, 5
out of 5. Oh, 93 complete. And Toshu's a little tilted here.
Yeah, he probably is still affected by the previous game and that missed chance against Nihal Sarin.
Indeed. No, like we discussed, you're playing one GM and you lose, and then you get another GM. That happens in a lot of these events.
Yeah, no breaks in between the games. A reminder on the format that this is 2 hours of Arena Blitz games and no breaks. No breaks for the players. We get our breaks, our snack breaks, but they don't. They need to play for 2 hours straight. And that's the new PCL.
It's good to be a commentator. Robert giving up one of the pawns, but getting his knight to a great square, trading the bishop. Very clinical conversion here for Robert. Look at rook f5. Ooh, bishop a5. Be careful. I would move this rook to f8. Oh, okay, that's a check.
Maybe he wants to move it a check. Now he moves it.
Yep, perfectly done. Because now this rook can come out to f1. Okay, that check doesn't do anything anymore. This is resignable for white. Check.
The only thing in White's favor is the time, but a minute and a half should still be enough for Robert. He's taking some thinking moment here.
Yeah, he doesn't need to rush with b takes c4, because if white takes, and black simply takes that pawn. Now, this is simply an exchange up. Robert should win this game. And that would put him for the first time in a plus score. Okay. Now just take c4 and trade rooks.
So that was 5 wins in a row, or 5 points, because our scoring system is different and I was confused for a second. In any case, he's doing very well.
Right, exactly. That's the safest way to put it. But bishop e4, struggling a little bit with this conversion. I don't think he found the right moment to take that pawn. He's obviously still winning, but maybe I need to stop saying that, Anna, because I will not forgive myself if he doesn't win this game.
I know. I don't want to feel like we are the only reason why he's not scoring.
There's h4, rook b3. Credit to Antosho. He is clinging on for dear life. Black's king not entirely safe here, although you could park it. Yeah, on c7. That's perfectly good enough. 53 minutes left, I think, in the arena. And let's have a look at the standings. We've got India now extending their lead to over 50 points.
Wow, that is huge.
Incredible.
And a reminder that the first team qualifies directly, no further games or matches, but the second and the third place team will have a face-off after the arena, and the last place team will be eliminated. The Krakens should try to get that third place. They still are within reach.
Absolutely. That things can turn around pretty quickly, and we will check out some of Argentina's positions after we finish this game. I want to see whether Hess, who's down now to 30 seconds, he hasn't made any progress. He has to move Robert. You can't take 10 seconds here. G4. What is he doing?
Robert.
Oh, he's thinking about rook takes d4, but he doesn't go for it.
He must have been calculating the king and pawn game indeed, but with 20 seconds left, he may lose this game on time.
No. Rook back to d2. He's starting to pre-move. I think he has to put pawn. He's got to create space on the king side. There it is. Still winning. Rook comes to g4. Now he goes h3. No, he shouldn't have done that either. He's panicking. Oh, Anna,
14 seconds.
Oh, rook d4. Nice move. This forces a rook trade. Bishop d8, but it's probably going to be a draw. Or will he manage to win this with 12 seconds? Let's watch. Good pre-moving from Robert there. Rook coming to a4. It's completely winning, but hard to convert with 10 seconds. Rook a3, king e4. It's an easy position to pre-move in, though.
And so he is pre-moving as much as he can.
Oh, nice. Oh! It's winning now. Just pawn to d3, d2, d1 is mate. He's going to do it. He is going to do it. And Ludwig needs to be watching how he checkmates makes the ladder. Well done from Robert. Almost let that one slip.
With 4.6 seconds, he's like, bah, I had so much time left. This was easy. Well, almost causes a heart attack, but well done, Robert.
Indeed. And yeah, Argentina over 20 points behind. They've got to do some very heavy lifting in the last 50 minutes. This is a pretty important game. Genghis, he's been doing decently, perhaps not as well as he would have liked.
Mm-hmm.
And Oksuna, that's, I think, Leandro Carissa. He's on a bit of a streak, so we can have a look at his game as well. So let's see.
Sure, let's take a quick look at the other game as well.
Oh, now he's playing Antosho. What are the odds?
Poor
I clicked on
Antosho.
2 random games, and Antosho is just he's everywhere. He's playing a simul.
Yeah, it feels like we are stalking him, and we are definitely not.
No, absolutely. We promise. Okay, in that case, let's switch back to Nihal and see how he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nihal is playing Obregon. Okay, big game here for Argentina. Let's see if the Argentinian Grandmaster can pull off.
I was worried that by switching over, we will not see my favorite opening, but it's still the French defense structure, so I'm happy.
Yeah, it was a Caro-Kann that trick.
Yeah, wrong move order, but the same structure, and the bishop is stuck, and that's all that matters to me, the ugly bishop on c8.
Indeed. And Obregon, he's a great blitz player, but Nihal has been on another level, as well as his whole team this tournament.
Yeah, it is crazy. His ratings still above 3,100.
Ridiculous. Okay, bishop d7. Black's got the 2 bishops. Position's a little cramped. Sort of typical French structure. White trying to open up the center to exploit that space advantage. But Nihal very confidently getting that knight around to d5.
Lovely position for the minor pieces. And then he can bring the rook to c8 with a tempo. The bishop can move to the long diagonal. I wonder what White would try. Knight c5 as an attempt.
And the speed and the confidence here is pretty incredible. He's over 30 seconds up. Black is better now with that monster knight, as you indicated. This ain't looking good for White.
Rook c1, I'm guessing with the idea to then move the queen away from the pin.
Yeah, definitely, to keep the knight protected. Nihal could take it, but instead choosing to put more pressure on the knight.
And that means that the queen is pretty much stuck still with this much pressure on c5.
Yeah, bishop d4, trying his best to support that knight. I would have taken that knight earlier if I were Nihal, but one thing black could do is go a6 at some point, prepare bishop b5. Okay, white moves the rook away, so instead Nihal aiming for the king side all of a sudden. Ooh.
And taking on f3, which would damage the pawn structure in front of the king. So white needs to react to this, but how? How do you keep everything together?
Oh
Rook
gosh,
c3.
now bishop d5, queen has to come back to f1. Ooh, rook d8 maybe. Oh, look at that pressure. And he's a minute up on the clock. You just can sense that confidence that comes from every move. It's hard to describe, but Nihal's just got that ironclad play. Every move creates threats and adds to the pressure. Queen is coming potentially to c6 here.
Just such an incredible game of showing the importance
nice
of the
move.
initiative. White is trying to set up this queen h5 attack or knight e4, both.
Yeah, but Nihal knight e7. Black's knight is jumping all around the. Ooh, this is looking like black's got to have something. White's pieces are all hanging in the air, but maybe but now wait a second. I don't like that move at all. Now queen takes e4, and as you were showing, Anna, that queen knight pair all of a sudden creating a threat. Nihal missed something here. I think he forgot the queen to take the bishop or something. This is not over yet.
Such a strange miss, but indeed he now is calculating to see which one is the least harmful variation for his position. But what is going on?
White should never have given away this bishop. Just take on e4 and white's better. I can't believe he took the other bishop. Now Nihal's got that monster on d5, and look at white's light squares. Grabbing the pawn instead is very surprising. Still obviously a game, but I'm shocked that Obregon didn't take that bishop when he got the chance.
This is a crazy game where Nihal was doing well, but then white fought back, and now the ball is back on Nihal's court.
It's over. If you take, then black takes the rook with mate. Oh, bishop b7. Nihal paving away space for that queen. And guess what, Anna? You know what he's going to be regretting more than ever? I should have taken that bishop when I had a chance.
You were right about that. It was hanging on e4. I didn't take it, and now that's the piece that's winning the game.
Indeed. It's over. Beautiful position. You can't take the rook because this is going to be checkmate. And otherwise, it's over Red Rover, as Danny says. And h6.
And I thought you were the one with the bad pawns, but I forgot about Mr. Wrench.
Right. I'm like pawn grandmaster, in comparison. And back to Hess. Let's see how he's doing. He's at 8 out of 14, but struggling here against Deep Tayan Ghosh, I believe. Yeah, he's just down in exchange and losing. So his streak will come to an end, but what an impressive streak it was as he resigns. Another point, 2 points for India.
And that means even more of an advantage over the Roosters. So the India Yogi is looking really sharp today. And if they continue like this, they will qualify. But the second and third place team will be facing each other in a knockout format ladder match right after the arena is over today in the show.
Indeed. And as it stands right now, Poland and France occupy the second and third places.
Yeah, and basically for the second and third, the second and third will face each other, but it matters if you're second because you get white in the first game on the board forward match. So that's the only difference. But for the fourth and third, that's a huge difference because fourth is eliminated and doesn't get to play.
Yep, it's like a game of musical chairs, but all right. Well, we're watching MVL, but bishop c7, by the way, would be an interesting move. MVL is much worse. He's kind of lost control of the arena a little bit. He's lost a couple now in the last few games, and with a horrible position here as well. White's got the two bishops. Rook can come to e1. There it is.
It's crazy how one of the strongest players in the world, that is MVL, at every time control one can name. He started with 10 out of 10, but even for him, this arena format is challenging enough because it's 2 hours straight of blitz games nonstop, and he's no longer doing as well as he was at the start.
And I think part of it, as Camille, queen h6 was not a good move. We should have dropped back to e2 to stop that rook from coming out to e8. This gives MVL a big chance, which he seizes instantly. I think it's largely human nature. You're 10 out of 10. You take your foot off the gas pedal a little bit, and these players are all very unforgiving. No matter who you are, MVL, MVL, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no second chances, as you mentioned, Danya.
Now MVL's winning, though. Queen takes d5. Oh, wait, no, he did. Sorry, my bad. I forgot. I got excited there, but this is actually just terrible. I saw the eval bar and I figured it's winning, but actually F5 is the best.
F5, blocking the bishop's diagonal, and then the d5 pawn is still hanging.
My apologies. I need to go do some Puzzle Rush.
It was so five-head, though, that it took me a long time to understand why it's a blunder of the blunder.
Well, it's because it's refuted in two different ways. I think it's respectable to blunder when there is only, oh my God. Oh, Queen G2. Okay, Camille really lost control of the game there.
Danya, if you just want to show that moment, because White did have the control of the e file, and that's why you mentioned that White could have brought the rook to e1 to stop all that happened later for MVL's position.
Yeah, and even in Blitz, everything's decided by these moves. Maybe Camille didn't like bishop d5, but this loses prosaically to rook d1, pinning the bishop, and White is very close to winning here. I often talk about this with my students. When there's only one open file in the position, you want to make sure that you control it. And by giving up control of the e file, Camille gave MVL that activity that he needed to turn the game around.
Indeed, and then almost the queen sacrifice checkmate. Almost, it was almost possible.
Indeed, but he did end up mating with the queen and the knight, as we see Jospin with the white pieces against Lichnarski, trying to push for a win in this very sharp endgame.
So is Jospin at the moment the highest scoring individual player, or did it change?
It's actually Nihal, who's got 13 out of 14 with 49 points in the arena. Jospin in second with 44, and MVL with 43. And then the player after them is Raunak with 33. So big three, really broke away from the pack.
Very impressive, very impressive. Taking into account that both Nihal and Jospin are playing for the India Yogis, and Raunak, as you mentioned, the fourth player, also a player of the Yogis, that explains how they are in the lead with so much of an advantage.
And can I blow your mind here for a second? Number 5, 6, and 7 are all part of the Yogis, so they're dominating this arena.
Wow. That truly is domination. It feels like yesterday's group where the Russian team, the Russia Wizards, had the same, that out of the top 10, there only 2 players were not from their team. Yeah, tough.
Wow.
A tough day at the office for the rest of the players on the other 3 teams.
Yeah, it's like the Russia versus rest of the world matches in the 60s and 70s. Here it's India versus rest of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, this is actually very dangerous for White. Jospin might get upset here as that pawn on e4. As Robert says, it's not about the quantity of passed pawns, but the quality. Black could have only one, but it's stronger than all of White's passers put together at the moment.
Very true. I see you're working on that impression with the phrases and all, Danya. We appreciate that. And the quality of that pawn, look at that. Oh, but that was missed. Wait, it's still in the air. And now it's happening.
Yeah, but now it's over. Yep. And unfortunately, the pawn is stopped.
Yeah, that was a miss. Close.
He had a chance, but that's why Jospin is Jospin. As we switch here, I want to watch. Okay, Hess won another game, so he's actually up there, knocking on the door of the top 10 in terms of the individual standings.
Great news for Robert. As for his team, the France Roosters, they are keeping that second place, which will give them the white pieces in the knockout ladder match. But to catch up with the India Yogis at this rate seems almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean, 219. That's just an absolutely ridiculous score. And really the intrigue in the last approximately 40 minutes in the arena, will Argentina be able to mount a crazy comeback? So we'll definitely look at some of their games, starting with Genghis, and that would be Federico Perez Ponza. He has to win a lot of games. All right, let's see if I pull that up.
Yeah, the 20-point gap between the Hussars and the Krakens seems to be still doable. We have 38 minutes left of the arena. Every win counts for 2 points. So in that sense, a 20-point gap, it's not that big.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, 10 games, you think about it, one good quote unquote round, all of your players win, all of the Polish players lose or something like that, would already turn it around. So this is a big game though, because we have a Argentinian player playing against a Polish player, Bartel, on the black side of this Scotch against Perez Ponsa. Let's see what happens. Pretty much balanced
for
so
Perez
far.
Ponsa, it's even more important to try to win this game and get the 2 points against the Polish player, as you mentioned, Dania. Incredibly important for the standings.
Yes, this is a crucial game. I like what he's doing. That knight is pretty strong. He could go bishop c3. Oh, bishop f4, hitting the pawn on c7. We're probably going to see bishop b6. Dropping it back to defend. Got a time advantage too.
Taking his time now to decide what are the alternatives. Bishop b6 I thought was a rather natural move, but he's still thinking knight g4.
Counterattack. If bishop takes c7, what does he want? Trying to determine, does he want knight takes f2 maybe? Ooh, creating some sort of a counterattack with a discovery. We might see some liquidation and potentially a draw, but he's played queen d7. Oh man, but now White's got to have something here.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be an unstoppable threat, although f2 is now hanging, of course, more than ever. White just takes the rook to sacrifice.
Look at how many pieces White has for the queen. White is completely winning.
Indeed, I guess that's what was missed by Mateusz, that White was ready to give up the queen because it's a lot of pieces to compensate for it.
Tons. He's got 2 pieces and a rook to be exact. This rook is going to come out either to d1 or to e1. And look at the coordination between White's pieces. The king is safe. This is completely winning. Rook e1, I think, is going to fall out. Oh, he just takes the pawn. Why not? We're going to see.
And if the knight is
here.
taken, he can take back with the pawn to guard the a7 bishop. Nice pattern.
Indeed. And you know what's interesting? Poland might benefit from dragging this out. So not resigning, forcing Genghis to take a longer time to convert might be a good thing, as bleeding the clock becomes an important strategy in the last part of this.
Yeah.
He loses a 3rd piece and resigns.
I think you were right about trying to drag it because of the standings and that Poland wants to keep that lead and stop the Argentinian players from scoring more.
And we're going to see probably another win here by the Argentinian player, Pablo Acosta, who's up a full piece against this French opponent. Okay. First, they have to cut this lead down to below 20. Will they manage to do that?
Elliot Papadiamandis here with the white pieces. Lots of numbers in his username that I can read.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's like, what's my password for my Chess.com account? Oh, yeah, now I know. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's contained in the name. It's like the key under the mat. It's like if you ever forget your password, it's just in your name.
Yeah, imagine if it's really his password. I mean, I just leaked it.
It's like the, hiding in plain sight kind of thing. 95 wins on the spot. Okay.
But was not found.
95 still. Okay.
Like really wants to make other moves that could win too.
Right. Bishop e4 check now. Okay. Bishop e3, and it's going to cause. He's got to find bishop e3. And queen h6.
So he plays it.
Resignation. Okay. Another win here for the Argentinian player. Let's see if Leandro Krisa can hold a bad position he's got against Antoshu. Again, there's this Antoshu. He's everywhere.
We really aren't following him on purpose or stalking him. I hope he knows.
Right. Okay, so they've cut the lead down to 19. But if this is a loss, that's going to be a pretty big blow for the Argentinians, because this is another Poland versus Argentina game.
Danya, I think our producer just wants to make us look even more sus because his camera is like the only one we actually put on screen.
Right.
We are just really constantly watching him.
Notion that we're like, yeah. Okay, so Black trying to create. Oh, G5 wins. Oh my God, and White is close to blundering that bishop. Maybe King F1.
Oh, nice save.
Rook A7. He missed Rook A7. Oh my God. What is
takes
White?
first
White's
and knight.
still.
Oh no, the knight fork.
Oh, you can
Antoshu
see his face, but he's
seems
still winning.
upset.
But he's still completely winning. Now, White, instead of king takes e2, could have just gone rook a7 check first and then taken the
And
rook.
then take.
But it's still winning because if king c4, you just get the king to b5 and start pushing those pawns. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my.
The things we see in these tournaments. b5, probably not good though. Black's king is walking up. He's kind of panicking.
He still has more time, but he clearly knows that he messed it up.
Now it's not even winning anymore. King d6. Oh, but now it is winning again.
Ooh.
Black should have gone to d8 and c8, I think.
Wow, that was difficult to find with no time on the clock. So in the end, White will win even with that blunder.
Right. That's pretty heartbreaking for Krisa, but yeah, a6 and the pawn is unstoppable. Okay, a7 and king can hide in the crevice there. King a6.
Such an important game again for the Polish team. The gap was only 14 points before this game, so this will keep the increasing that gap now to a 16-point lead for the Hussars.
Indeed, but yeah, no, this is actually closer than I expected. Let's see how the other games in this match. Okay, Obregon has started a very important game against Pakleja, who is a London system expert and not the most interesting position, but an important game in the match.
Yeah, such a solid position now. Possibly bishop trades or rook c8. Then something will come off of the board soon-ish.
Indeed. Knight e4. Yeah, we're going to see some trades, that's for sure. Takes. Okay. And this is not a position I really see White losing, though.
Yeah, with the control of the one and only open file, double the rooks on the c file.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you go rook c8, you might drop that a6 pawn in the end of the line.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Black that he cannot exchange both rooks. I was guessing, is he taking back with a minor piece on c8? Knight takes.
Yeah, pretty ugly.
Doesn't look pretty.
You got to make that sound. Right. You got to take with a knight there. Yeah. I mean, how exactly does White exploit this? Maybe bishop takes c4, maybe knight e5. All right. I'm bored. Let's look at Robert's game.
It's too symmetrical and it's still solid enough.
Yeah, I think White's going to probably win that game. Robert is actually beating Raunak. Oh
wow.
My goodness. That's a big result.
Raunak was fourth placed overall in the individual standings last time we checked in, and is a very strong grandmaster, the 65th grandmaster of India. It's crazy to think that they have so many grandmasters. He was the 65th.
Indeed. Yeah, that's saying a lot. And will Robert drive this one home, or have I jinxed him once again? Let's see. He's let that bishop come to e5, which he shouldn't have done, but still should be winning. Queen d8, I think. Queen d8 forces a queen trade. There
beautiful move.
Queen takes f8, amazing, and then rook d8, exploiting that back rank. Now it's over.
Robert is on fire. I wonder if we could also get his camera, but we just keep bringing on everybody but him on the show. That is Raunak Sadhwani, one of the youngest grandmasters in the world. As you can see in his username, that 2005 is not his rating, it's his birth date, the year of his birth.
Indeed. And by the way, he is streaming, so that's the reason. But wait a minute, this is getting a little bit scary. No! Oh, king d3. Okay, and he finds the win. He let that get really close, but rook takes f4 was clutch. And now he's 7 seconds. Let's see if he can mate. Yeah, he definitely
with a queen with 5 seconds.
Boom.
And so he does. What a game. Raunak wasn't exactly happy about it.
No, but their lead over second place France is still about 100. But Argentina's chances starting to look a little bit more grim. Let's watch now Sadhwani playing Genghis. Okay.
Wow, this is really tough for the Argentinian team, but we still have 29 minutes left and a win is 2 points. So mathematically, it's still doable, but they need to win every game.
Basically, yeah, they need to win a lot. And they need their top board here to win this game. It does look really good for Black in the early going of this game.
And Robert
as a pawn
already
is
made
captured.
the pre-work here, just trying to take away Ronak's confidence, at least part of it.
Yeah, Raunak is just losing this because now b5 is going to come. And that
It's
bishop is
so
going to be
difficult.
lost.
Yeah, this is what you were telling us about, Danya, that in the arena format, you lose a game and there's no stopping. You get another GM. There's no time to even just take 10 seconds to try to forget about the game. You're already in the next one.
Right. And tilt works a little bit differently, I think, in arena formats. You don't even notice sometimes that you're tilted because you're telling yourself, you know, I'm just going to keep playing. I'm going to keep it going, but you lose some objectivity. And oftentimes you play the opening too quickly, which is what I think we saw here. And this should be a pretty simple conversion. Queen can step back to G4 or bishop G4. Yeah. Stopping white from castling long. And now black will just complete his development.
So this for the Argentinian team would be a big one because the Indian team is very much in the lead, confidently in the lead. But for Argentina, they need to score 16 points at least. That's the gap between the Polish and Argentinian team, meaning that I think within the next 27 minutes, it's possible. But as you said, they almost need to win every single game.
Indeed, but now it's down to 13. So this stuff is getting a little bit closer than I suspected.
13-point difference. So some of the Argentinian players have won while we were observing this game. And this is a win for them too if Genghis doesn't mess it up.
Which he's already made it a little bit more interesting than it should have been. That king is going to escape over to C1 or C2, I think. Or maybe bishop D. Oh, E6. Okay, Raunak doing whatever he can to complicate the game. I think black can probably just take that pawn though.
At least from Ronak's perspective, this move makes Genghis think quite a lot how to react to it.
97, he's prioritizing his development, which is totally sensible. That knight might come out to F5 and hit this pawn on E3, which is tremendously weak. That's why Raunak goes bishop D4.
Bishop D4 trying to hold the position together. Now the pawn is taken, but the king finally made it to the queen side and the rooks are connected.
Indeed, and that's, you know, okay, E5 is a great move though, because now the bishop can drop back to G6. Okay, where's the win though? Queen F2, Queen H2. He goes Queen H3, also good. You can't take the pawn because of a fork.
Important tactical pattern. So the bishop draws back and king to B2.
I would consider going F2 and queen takes E3 here. Oh, what was that? King F7? Knight takes E3. What is he doing?
Oh, he missed that. His most precious pawn will be taken.
That's a terrible, terrible move. It might have been a mouse slip. And you can't take the knight because of rook F1. White is winning now. And now knight G5 is a threat.
Knight G5, knight T5, the rook coming to F1. This is a disaster.
God. And now Poland has extended their lead once again to 18. This is going to be a huge blow as the knight, and white's going to win this game.
That's sad news for the Krakens. They were doing so well in this game, a potential upset, but in the end, King F7 mouse slip or a blunder, and maybe knight takes F3 was missed by Genghis in that moment.
Yeah, what I'm just surprised by is that even if white played bishop takes E5, it still doesn't add up why he would go for that.
Why would you want to play it?
But in any case, all sorts of things happen in this tournament. Nerves, you know, the nerves cause mouse slips. I can attest to that firsthand. From my experience in aim chess, your hand is shaking and literally sometimes it causes brain slips or mouse slips. And as white rounds off this game, and I think we're going to go on on another break. We got to catch our breath.
Break number 4, I believe, and we'll be back in a moment because this is the final phase of the arena. Everything is at stake, so don't go anywhere. We are returning shortly. Welcome back, everyone, to the brand new Pro Chess League season with a brand new format. This is Group B, and things are heating up, Danya, as we see.
And they just won another one.
The Argentina Krakens are 7 points away. Now 3 points away from catching the Poland Hussars.
Goodness. This is unbelievable. They just won another one, and but Sosa is going to lose his game to the Indian player, Murali. Let's see how Leandro Crisa, he's got to step up. He's been struggling here. Okay, so this game just began, and let's click into Genghis's game as well. I just want to see. Okay, let's watch Genghis. He's about to beat Yaribor. He's just winning in the opening. Look at that wide open H file. This is a huge game, Anna. He's playing Pavel Teklov. Will Genghis score a quick victory here? E4,
it looks like that, pushing the pawn to get the queen in that H file.
I've never rook h8 and queen h6 and knight g5, or queen h6 and knight g5. This is completely winning. This is
He's
resignable.
giving up the rook because of knight h5, queen h7, checkmate in a few moves. Wow,
he's completely winning. But Pavel should not resign here. He should drag this game on. Knight on c3 is coming to d5. This is going to be another win for Team Argentina. Oh, and they're down to, the lead is down to 2 points now.
2-point difference. And ladies and gentlemen, the reason we are freaking out, if you haven't seen the format explanation, the second and third place teams will play for qualification, while the fourth is eliminated. So the Hussars are getting eliminated by the Krakens if the Argentinian players keep going like this.
Indeed, and a crazy game in Obregon, Raunak, but Raunak.
1 point lead for the Krakens over the Polish team. They did it.
Unbelievable comeback. Now there's obviously 17 minutes left, so anything could happen. But right now the momentum is entirely on their side. This is a big game, though. Can Obregon pull off an upset against Raunak? And obviously India is going to be in first. Let's see what happens here. I think he just blundered rook takes c2, though. Queen a6. Oh, that's winning for black, because the rook is going to come to e7. This is resignable for the Argentinian player.
And probably to save time and get more games in, Carlos would need to consider resigning soon to try to win the next games.
He should definitely resign. Let's go back to Leandro Crisa's game.
Bad position, but nice weather there for Carlos in Argentina. If he's in Argentina currently, it looks like a very nice and bright day.
It does. Yeah, but that game, as you said, not too bright there. Okay, we see a really interesting position as Sosat has sacrificed a piece against Vathi. I think you mentioned who that was, but I've forgotten.
Oh, I'm going to just double check because I forgot it myself. Aravind Chidambaram from the Yogis team.
Okay, the lead is still 1 for Poland. It's up in the air, up for grabs.
So they're going back and forth. The Krakens took over. Now Poland is back with a 1 point lead. The story was that the Polish team had the third place for hour and a half into the arena, but this final half an hour is changing everything. Now the Krakens are taking the third place again. It's a back and forth.
It's crazy. Now d6. Look at this piece sacrifice. White's opening up the diagonal for the bishop after bishop d6, queen h6, knight g5, queen takes g6 becomes the threat. This is looking really dangerous for the Indian player. This would be another huge win for Argentina. Can they pull it off? Wow, now their lead is 1, as you said.
This is crazy how close the fight for the third place is, and we get to see international master Sosat and also sneak peek into his life. I think the laundry is also being taken out in this moment behind him.
Yep, he might be outside. This is a interesting view, and Sosa, who is not on camera, we're seeing Obregon. Oh no, he is on camera. That is Sosa, and he is going to win this game. Queen takes h6 is coming. Look at the time advantage and the attack. DC and knight t4. Wow, Poland back on top by 1.
But this game will give 2 points to the Krakens. A reminder on the format that it's 2 points for the win, 1 point for a draw. And the fourth place team will be eliminated today. The second and third will play a knockout ladder match right after our arena. So no one is safe here. Both the Polish and the Argentinian team are going head to head for that third place and try to get qualified.
Back and forth they go. It seems that another win by Genghis has put them up by 3. Oh my lands. And can Sosa finish this one off? He seems to be getting a little bit nervous, taking a while in this position. Bishop takes f7 as he sacks another piece. Just fully exposing Black's king. This is totally crushing.
What a game. There's no immediate finish off
Knight
because
E4,
the knights are
beautiful.
guarding the squares, but this knight e4 will either eliminate the defender or get the knight to
Yep.
g5.
And Rook, and he takes everything. Queen d7. This is going to be resigns for Chitambaram. And another win for the Krakens. Now their lead is going to be something like 7. Oh my goodness. As
That
he
is
bleeds out the clock.
huge. Yeah, it's huge. The gap was 20 points not long ago in favor of the Polish team, and now it's the other way around that the Krakens are getting even more wins in. Sosat again with an incredible game, and as you said, that's huge. Now 156 points, 5-point gap.
Indeed, and let's focus here. This is a pretty boring opening. Let's focus on Leandro Krisa's game against Maxime Lagarde of France. Krisa has really struggled. He's got 8 out of 19. Can he pull off a big game here? It seems that he is worse, though. Bishop a3, it's coming. Okay. This is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, that's a lovely diagonal for the bishop and the king's side already with the heavy pieces of white putting so much pressure on black's pieces and the f7 point.
Okay, d4. This rook on f4 could come out to f6 and set the stage for some sort of a sacrifice. I don't see anything really. And bishop d6. Wait a second. D takes e3.
Yeah,
and black can pretend that he sacrificed it.
And maybe he did.
Maybe he did. But queen c3 is a really interesting. No, but queen b7. Okay, now d.
Will he take now? Why is he not? Yeah, why is he not including that check?
This was a terrible, terrible move. Leandro is clearly not in good form this tournament, and now it's over.
Oh, and look at the standings. 156 points for both teams.
Goodness. Rook is just going to come back to f6. This is going to be another loss for Argentina. Now, you don't lose any points for a loss. You just get 0. That's something to remind people if you're just joining.
And at least he's not losing against the Hussars, because then it means a double point, basically.
Indeed. And on the top board for the Hussars, as Lagarde checkmates him, is Mateusz Bartel. And Bartel is in an endgame with Abimanyu Puranik, and he's worse as Argentina back up by 1. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, this is with 12.5 minutes left from the arena. Everything can still happen, and one of these two teams, Argentina or Poland, will be eliminated, but we will not know until the last second which of these two teams will be.
And welcome to Georg Meyer, my teammate on Monday in the chat.
Oh,
great
shout out to
Georg.
Grandmaster Meyer. That's gonna be epic when you guys are playing on Monday, but we also, of course, love to see Georg in the chat. Very regular of the Chess.com events, and also do check out his channel here on Twitch.
Absolutely, and this might be a draw. Black Mateusz trying to trade as many pawns as possible. King can drop back to d7 here, and actually white is up a pawn, but the position is quite close, and the knight is surprisingly strong as it swings around to c4. Maybe black is even better now, although most likely it's going to be a draw.
But certainly winning the pawn back if he wants to take it now on d6 and king and pawn in game.
Do not take this pawn because white is an outside passer. No, this is going to be a draw, and that's going to be a point. 157, our current score. Poland up by 1 here, now with 158. Let's switch back to Genghis's game. Oh, look at this position. He's getting crushed.
Unfortunately for him, Mugsy here with the white pieces is crushing it. That's Romain Edouard with the Spanish flag for living in Barcelona, but very much a French player from the Olympic team of MVL.
Romain is very strong blitz player, very strong, over 2,700 at his peak. Where is the crusher, though? Genghis, of course, incredibly resilient player. Takes f5. I would take g8 now if I were black. King takes g8 or queen takes g8, but just knight f7 ends the game immediately.
Wins the queen. There's no other move but taking the knight on f7. Oh, he takes on f4 first.
Knight f7 was pretty obvious, but still completely winning, obviously. Okay, let's watch okay, knight f7. He's not doing a great job here.
It's not as clear anymore with 44 seconds on the clock, but black is even lower on time.
Right, 17 seconds, but where is the win? Bishop e5. Oh, that isn't even a threat due to knight f7 check.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
But look at the clock, 30 seconds now for Romain. If he can pull this off, and Argentina is up by 4 again. King g1. Ooh,
15 seconds left.
Pushes the pawn. What will Eduard do? Eduard's down to 20. Queen f7. Can you take it? No, you can't. And it's queen f7 crushes it. Bishop d4 check. The king has to sidestep the checks. Queen takes h3.
Goes to the wrong square.
It's a draw now. Now can Genghis will Ponza lose on time? The queen f3. He's allowed the queen back. Oh,
he gave the wrong check.
He might flag him though. Eduard is not as fast as Genghis. As you can see, him pushing his pawn. He's
got more time, but Black is pushing the pawns.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. Eduard free moving. So is Ponza. Oh, and Eduard's gonna win this. What a photo! Just a crazy finish in this game. Oh my goodness! Big blow to Argentina this game. Okay.
That was huge, but Argentina still holds a lead ahead of the Polish team. So let's see if in this one, where it matters for both of them, yes, indeed. If Poland wins, that would be great for them. With 9 minutes to go, they badly need this game to be a win for White.
Indeed, Teklov against Sosa. We've got a basically equal endgame. Black is super comfortable here, though. Maybe even Black is slightly better. Lots of weak squares here for White. That e4 square. Knight d3 is a good move, hitting the pawn on e5. No, this is completely symmetrical. That doesn't mean it's going to be a draw, though. This is blitz. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen indeed, but at least it's not that much of a time scramble. b6 to chase the knight away, and then the c6 pawn will be protected later, I'm guessing so, or something will be traded on e4. Oh, bishop takes c6, but now...
He's not afraid of rook c8?
He's not, apparently.
Oh, rook e2 check. Yeah, rook c8, rook
and
e2
then you
check.
can move the bishop away.
Or potentially the knight to b7.
Oh, depending on where the king goes.
Exactly, as you said, king f7, there will be bishop d5 check. And there's nowhere for Black to go. And Black's going to be down a pawn here. This would be a huge win for Poland. A must win, essentially. 5 points with 8 minutes to go. We're going to see a photo finish here.
Absolutely a photo finish with that 5-point gap, but this will be 2 points in favor of the Hussars. Do you think Sosa will try to hang in there just also for spending more time of the arena?
I wouldn't resign this just because I mean, if he was down 2 pawns, I maybe would, but there are still some chances here with that knight sitting nicely in the center. Conversion still has to happen for Teklov. b4. Okay, rook d5. I would just start pushing the pawns. A4, rook d4. Sosa trying to go after them. White's got to be careful. That bishop on d7 is undefended. And what if you take and then go knight c4? I don't entirely understand.
It seems to be happening.
I think knight c4 would have a chance to win the pawn. What is Teklov intending here? I think he blundered this move.
It seems like that. And if rook e8 check, king f7, the bishop cannot move away from the protection of the rook. So there's no bishop e6.
g6 now. g6 is important to preserve the pawn. White could try a6, but no, that doesn't work. Wow, this would be a big save for Argentina, who is still up, but only by 2.
2 points. Only 2 points the difference between the Polish and Argentinian team.
Now, my question is, if a game starts with, let's say, 30 seconds left in the arena, is it aborted when the arena clock is over?
I think so. I would 99% say yes, but I'm gonna ask for confirmation before I spread fake news.
Potentially important, important piece of information. That's Teklov trying to confuse him. Rook c2, a6, gf, a7. Wow, what a position. Rook a2 would be a draw. Oh, he just blundered. Rook b4. Now the rook's going to take the knight and win these pawns, and that's going to be a huge loss for Argentina. You can see he hold his head with his hands. This is going to be a win for White.
Oh no, just when it felt like Black saved it.
Okay.
This is huge. They're going head to head, exactly the same point. They are 166, both teams.
Oh, he's trying to go for some sort of a stalemate maybe, but it's impossible. Teklov advancing his king. Not quite over yet. Still, White has to be very careful with the clock. No, but king e4, king c3, king b4. Okay, Black trying to pre-move. his way out of this. I don't think it's going to happen.
What an important game this is for the match, because if white wins, that's 2 points for the Polish squad ahead of the Argentinian team, because this is literally Poland versus Argentina in this game.
Indeed, and he's kind of struggling here as Teklov to make progress, but the problem is really the clock at this point. You don't need to play accurately here. Okay, the game is over. We can switch. He's going to win this. Wait a minute. Just, I guess I shouldn't.
Well.
Yeah. Oh, rookie Yay. Look at what a dirty move. Oh, he pulls an Ali Reza and he wins. Okay. So let's.
Oh my, there's going to be a 2-point lead now for the Hussars. No, sorry, the Kraken. Wait, the Kraken's also scored in the meantime.
The Kraken's also scored. They're up by 2, and a big game. Acosta here with a good position. He's got to win this against an FM from France. Okay. Let's see. Bishop back to C1. Kind of a panicky move, though. No, it's unclear. Rook takes F6, going for the exchange side. I don't believe in this, though. This is definitely unsound, but can he make something of it? All right. Queen F1, maybe a perpetual check. I think white's at best aiming for a draw here.
It seems that
that
was
the or wait, Queen E6 is mate.
Now,
or Bishop H6 is mate, rather. I misspoke. Bishop H6. White's going to mate him. It's a lobster pincer out of nowhere. Oh,
that sacrifice seemed way too optimistic, but it works out. It ends up working out just perfectly.
Believable. Now, where does the king hide from the checks? I think you're supposed to go king H3 and then block a queen check with G4. He's got plenty of time to think about it. This would be a huge win for Argentina. King goes up to F3. That's also probably good enough. Black can even promote to a queen, but that doesn't help. Queen F8 is the mate threat.
Yeah, it's unstoppable. Okay. Crazy game, and so important for the Krakens with a 2-point lead to maintain the lead. Quick reminder on the format: we have 3 minutes left. The Indian team is qualifying for sure. They are crushing it, dominating today's match, but this one is for the 3rd place.
Indeed, and this is a huge game. Genghis, that is Panza playing against Teklov, and Teklov has a winning position here, which I think he just messed up. Bishop takes E5. Poland against Argentina facing off in this game. This might be a match-deciding game.
Match deciding, and the reason why we are so focused on the 3rd place because the 2nd and 3rd team will play right after the arena a knockout ladder match, while the 4th team is eliminated. So this is about which team gets eliminated and which one will have a chance to qualify.
Indeed, and 172 now. Tack on 2 more for Argentina from that game we just saw. Can Pavel convert? Queen F6 would win the knight, and then we get a position with Rook and Queen against Rook and Piece, which is far from totally winning. Definitely good chances for it. But now, oh, he blunders castle. What? If you take the knight, then F6. Oh my goodness! If you take the knight, Black has F6. Black's gonna win this game. And now Poland.
Castling is so rare. That's the winning move. Castle and then pawn push.
And it's because that rook on F8. If you take on E5, you allow F6. And Pavel, he's got to be furious with himself. Queen F6 instead would have won the knight. This is huge. It's a 1-point lead right now. Poland has scored 3 points in the meantime. H4, Pavel, desperation. Rook AC8 is just game over immediately.
This game could have turned the tables in favor of the Polish team. Woo! It's a 1-point gap.
1-point game, 1.5 minutes left. And there's just no way we can follow all of the games. So I'm trying to focus on the one where they are facing off against each other. Let's see, will Panza convert this, or will he get nervous? Oh my goodness.
Only a minute and 20 seconds left. Woo! India already qualified. France will be in that knockout match, but will it be Argentina or Poland who will be the opponent of the French team?
And here's another thing. Pavel could bleed out the clock. He could actually sit the remaining time, and the game, I believe, would be aborted if the arena ends, right? So I think this game might be aborted. And Argentina now up by 4. Oh my goodness. Let's see if Poland is winning on any of the other boards. We have Zbigniew Pakleja. No, but they're too early in their game. Argentina might have stolen it. Oh, yes, games are aborted, I think.
That is being confirmed. Yes, in 38 seconds, the games will be aborted.
And we have another Argentina versus Poland game. This one is winning for Black, but he should totally bleed out the clock. Do they know that? They probably do. 25 seconds left. Black trying to go for checkmate. HG. Ooh. Oh, let's see what happens here. He has to just sit. Doesn't make any moves.
15 seconds. Argentina with the 4-point lead, and they should not finish any of their games.
Just sit is what they should do. They
In
get
5,
draw by agreement.
Draw. That's still all right. Better than winning or losing in that case.
Yep. It's over. Argentina.
And it's official.
Steals it.
And look at that. Look at the relief on the faces of the players of the Krakens, the Argentina Krakens. They took the 3rd place ahead of the Polish squad for an hour and a half into the arena. Dania, we saw the Polish team holding on to the 3rd place, and only in the final segment, the Argentinians managed to take over. They will be facing MVL's team, France versus Argentina, coming up next shortly. So one of those two teams will qualify with the following format. Daniel, let's take a look at this because it's confusing, but it's very exciting.
It is, and we saw all smiles from Argentina there. Amazing stuff. Yeah, we have 2 teams choose their top 4 players. So every team has a certain number of players. They choose the top 4 that they want to play. And then we have what's called essentially a ladder format. The time control now 3+2, very important. There is an increment in the subsequent playoff. The team ranked 2nd gets white in the first game. So that is France will get white in the first game. Both participants are eliminated in the case of a draw. If any of the boards ends in a draw, both participants are eliminated. And of course, if let's say board 4 beats board 4, board 4 moves on to the board 3 of the opposing team until one team has no more players left. We will remind you of that when we come back, though.
Indeed. And also a reminder on our upcoming event, Winners Days will return on September the 22nd. This is going to be, again, your favorite event where content creators of different levels go head to head for their portion of the 3K event prize, plus a chance at an additional 3K in case they manage to win their match in 3 consecutive events and retire to the Pantheon. Will Jose Martinez be the 2nd player into the Pantheon? Tune in to find it out on September the 22nd. And we will be back, Danya, with what's going to be a very important knockout ladder match between France and Argentina. The final bosses will be MVL. And I guess for Argentina, Josep will be sitting on board 1. We shall see who scored the highest number of points. I guess so.
Yeah, we'll see. They will choose their players. But yeah, we're going to see who they choose on the other side of the break. It's going to be a fascinating knockout match. Will Argentina continue their incredible performance in the second half of this arena, or will France, behind the incredible strength of MVL, stop Argentina's run? We're going to find out on the other side of the break.
We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
World Chess Championship. The champion, Magnus Carlsen. The challenger, Jan Nepomniachtchi. Watch the only Twitch broadcast with live video from Dubai on Chess.com/TV. Your home for the World Chess Championship.
Welcome back. Remember that Chess.com is your exclusive Twitch home for the video feeds for this year's World Chess Championship. Join us for the best coverage around as we watch this year's players, the defending champion Magnus Carlsen, El Magneto, and challenger Jan Nepomniachtchi Nepo battle for the title. The World Chess Championships are coming your way in November to Chess.com. Anna, it's an absolute must watch, and Chess.com is going to have the video feeds. It's going to be an absolute blast. So mark off your calendars for November. But right now, we hope your calendars are marked for the final stage. 2 and 3 are playing in to determine who advances. So much great stuff happening. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. We managed to get our snack break in as well. Daniel's finishing the last bites. We need that energy because this is now a separate phase of the Arena Royale. If you haven't heard our explanation of the format, quick reminder that we have 2 teams here, France versus Argentina, and only one of them can qualify. So these 2 teams are facing off with their top 4 players in a ladder knockout format. The time control is different from the Arena. This is now 3+2. There's a 2-second increment, and the players need to eliminate the other players, the opponent's players, obviously, board by board. Last man standing will win for their team. What happened yesterday was board 3 of the Brazil Capybaras, eliminating every single player of the China Pandas. So let's see if it's going to happen again, that not every board player, not every board 1 or board 2 player will start their games. Who will start his game soon is Grandmaster Robert Hess for the France Roosters. As we mentioned, the French team has always been full-on French flag, but this time they decided to register a non-French player in the shape and form of Grandmaster Robert Hess.
Indeed, and it's been a great choice. Robert with a tough start today. He lost some games, but he really picked up steam, and he finished super strong. So this is going to be a great match. Can Robert eliminate everybody on their team? Absolutely. When Robert's in good form, he is a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure.
And let's take a look at those top 4 players, indeed, who were the chosen players for each team. Robert on board 4 versus Andres Obregon. Then we have Sebastian Mazet, whose games we haven't even seen. There were so many players to follow in the Arena. We missed that on Mazet, who will face Leandro Crisa. If there's a draw, so we will need to see who eliminates whom. And in case of a draw, both players will be eliminated, and we move on to the next board. Morizzi is on board 2, as well as Leonardo Tristan for the Krakens, and the final boss for each team, Maxime Vachelagraph for the French team, and Federico Perez Ponsa for the Krakens.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting format because as the game begins, I've been part of matches where board 1 remains and the other team has all 4 boards, and board 1 defeats everybody. So anything is possible. It's not over until everybody has been defeated. And in the case of France, well, their top boss, pretty much a force to be reckoned with. We've got an Italian here, Robert, going for 1e4 and transposing it into kind of a 4 knights with knight c3. Usually a pawn comes out to c3.
And now pushes a4 to expand on the queen side. Obviously, the reason why Robert is talking, he wasn't talking to us, but he's streaming on his channel. So do check out Robert's perspective if you want to listen in with his thoughts.
Would be nice if he talked to us, but yeah, he's got more important things to do. A4, so that gives Black a choice. Now, it's very important, again, we remind you there is an increment, which slows the pace of the match down a little bit, and there's no need to go as fast. There's less likely to be straight on flagging. I like what Robert has done here. This trade on e3 has opened up the f file for white, and there's a typical idea here: queen e1, get the queen to g3, and this knight could go on out to f5. I think white's slightly better here.
I like this position a lot indeed because of the pawn structure you mentioned and the semi-open f5. I think he will go for that queen maneuver. That's a very logical and classical approach to this pawn formation.
There it is, queen e1. And Black might go bishop e6, trying to go for a more symmetrical structure. Nope, Obregon going knight b4. Good move. sticking that knight right into the weak square and hitting the pawn on c2. Robert should probably defend that. How? Well, there's many ways. You can go rook c1. I wouldn't defend it with my queen because I would want the queen to go out to g3.
Indeed, I definitely think he will try to use another piece, not the queen. I'm taking a quick look at his stream and the lovely emotes that are being used in the chat. Obviously, it's emote mode every time there's a competition like this that he is in the game. So we can take a quick peek also at which are the top trending emotes. I do see the Ludwig dance emote. That's one of my favorite emotes from Ludwig's channel.
Indeed. And he's got a lot of supporters cheering him on here. As we see, good old Robert there taking his time. He did decide to defend the pawn of the queen, which is not the best sign for white. That basically means he's temporarily abandoned his aggressive designs on the king side. However, what he could do is move this knight from e2 to g3. That's a typical maneuver. And then push that pawn out to c3. Whatever he does, I feel like that knight on b4 has to be dealt with sometime soon.
I agree with you. And he went to e1 first, then to d2. So that's a bit of a admitting that maybe he didn't have the time for the queen maneuver. He changed his mind. But it's such a solid position. I think he will correct it with what you said, moving the knight away and then trying to chase that b4 knight away from that's important square with c3.
Indeed, but he's taking a very long time here. He's down a minute and a half. And only 12 moves have been played. There comes knight e2. So again, dual purpose move. He wants c3, and this knight will swing out to g3. He's assembling his pieces on the king side. That is where white needs to try to attack. Black could go bishop b6 here and offer a trade. Instead, c6. Obregon preparing a counter strike in the center with d5, which he can play,
c3,
by the way.
can he do it now? Yeah, d5 as a counter chance.
Probably could go d5, and then if cb, then dc. I can guarantee you that is what he's calculating right now. That's why he's taking so long, because otherwise you have to drop the knight back to a6. I think he's going to do it. When you think about something for this long, you feel like it's kind of a sunk cost not to play it. So I feel like he's going to do it, but the time situation has basically equalized while he's been thinking. And there it is.
And he does play d5 indeed. It would have been very sad to go knight a6 after such a long think.
Robert could take that pawn and drop his bishop down, but then that knight will have the c6 square to drop back to, which is very important because the e5 pawn is also hanging. Now Robert's going to take a long time here figuring out these complications as well. Objectively, the position is probably closer to equality, but it's pretty sharp, and Robert's down to a minute now. He's got to make a move soon.
Luckily, there's a 2-second increment, so this is not going to be about flagging skills anymore, but he needs to hurry up still, obviously.
Maybe takes in bishop b5. That's what I would do. I would take that pawn and go bishop b5. Okay, that all happened. As I was saying it actually all happened. Knight takes d3, typical idea, but Robert can centralize a piece on d4. He's got that nice outpost, and he still has that f-file pressure. I really like the decision he made here. And if bishop g4, maybe there's rook takes f6. That might happen. The bishop takes c2. We might see that kind of weird exchange happen.
And then the rook can run away from f6.
Right, maybe to f5 to hit the d5 pawn.
And the b5 bishop is guarded. Everything is held together by the white pieces.
Suddenly, Robert's got a great position. Knight f4, rook g3. It's easy to play too. That's very, very important. He can also double rooks on the f-file, maybe prepare an exchange sacrifice on f6.
I would love to see that, the exchange sacrifice, and then the knight coming in on the weak squares.
Oh, you know who wouldn't like to see that? Carlos Andres Obregon. So he goes 94. But now he's taken his eyes off of the d5 pawn. Robert could swoop in with his knight to f4. Oh, but then his rook might get trapped after bishop g4.
Ooh,
lots of minefields to avoid here.
Is he going to push h3 or is it too slow? Knight g3 to then
yeah, h3
have some more space.
Well.
Probably was very slow. Knight g3 is a lot more forceful.
Very true. Trying to get that knight off of its outpost on e4. This is definitely a great position for white. He's got an advantage, but 30 seconds down on the clock as he continues to take a little bit too long here. Down to 20 seconds, despite the increment. You don't want to get in a situation where the position's complicated and you have 2 seconds to make every move.
Certainly not. What will Carlos do now that he has a moment to try to develop the bishop? But knight f5 is coming regardless, and he might have to take that knight.
Indeed, knight f5, knight h5. You could also consider moves like c4, e4, Drops the queen back to e7, pressuring e3. Now will Robert go knight h5? That's the, or knight f5. I would drop the bishop back to d3 and keep assembling pieces on the king side, but he's down to 10 seconds, Anna. He's got to move.
Robert, take a decision. H4.
Good move. Getting that knight out. And after knight e6, I think he was going to respond with knight to f5, counterattacking Black's queen.
And that would be a winning move. There's no response that wouldn't drop material there.
Would have gone bishop c4 though instead of rook f4. He can go bishop c4 now. Instead he would say back to fix the pawn structure. That's a good positional move.
Suddenly Black's position though is holding on.
Yeah,
this is already a lot more difficult to crack.
Indeed, in 3 seconds, Robert, this is exactly the situation that you would want to avoid. Although queen b6, I think Black thought he was trapping his queen, but he's not. Queen c5, pinning, b6 probably is going to happen. Now Black is no longer worse. Robert's gained some time though. This might be some sort of a draw after bishop b5. Bishop
But maybe
f7,
Black is going now for the attack and try to win it.
And if c4, then rook d3 and queen takes b6. Robert holding on here. Close. This is going to be really close. Bishop takes f5 is also a threat. Oh, rook f2. What's going on? Queen
Needs
takes
to
b6.
exchange that.
No, but that's bad for Black because now Robert can take that pawn at f5.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second.
Suddenly he's winning again, or not?
He had some sort of a win. I don't know what it was.
Something. Was it queen b7 with the 2 pieces hanging there?
It was probably
something
a computer
along those
move
lines.
of some sort. I would go queen g6 right now and try to get the queen trade. I would go queen g6. There it is.
And
Robert
he's practical. He does it.
Very much in the driver's seat here. He's got great winning chances in the end game. Rook f2 or rook b5. That's a great move too. He's winning this. Will he convert a winning position though? He's got 3 passed pawns on that queen side.
And he guards it with rook f2 to then take on e4, but one of the pawns, the a4 one drops, but it's still connected passed pawns.
Yep. This is, I would say good winning chances, but far from being completely winning. And Robert
it's not so easy to mobilize them, indeed, with the b4 rooks sitting in between the 2 pawns.
Indeed, and he fixes Black's pawns. His plan is to get the king over to c2 and, share the labor here. As Obregon doing what he has to, he's creating a pass pawn of his own. Good defense so far for Black.
Where will he go with the rook? He's considering that 9 seconds left. Rook g6 now supporting the g pass pawn.
I would go king c3 now, get that rook out of the way, and then start pushing c5, b4, push, push, push. g3 though. Ooh, rook e5, king f4, and this might just be a draw. Black has succeeded in pushing his pawn really far down the board.
4 seconds left for Robert.
Robert's going for a win though, very gutsy, but he also might lose this if he's not careful.
Yeah, he needs to stop that pawn. How will he do it? He has to go back to e1.
He might be worse now, although c5. Oh, this is crazy. King h2, there's rook h7, but rook h7 and rook h1 could be really dangerous.
Rook e7.
Rook is gonna move. Oh my goodness, panicking.
He made a move with 1 second only, Robert.
c7. Oh, he blunders the pawn. Oh, b5 there. Oh my goodness, Robert's gonna lose. Oh, what a devastating result.
He was playing for a win, and now, unfortunately, after blundering the c pawn, this is a
rook takes b4. Yeah. Black just blundered the draw. Black might be losing now. Oh my goodness! If Black had shifted, he was winning.
What?
Oh, it's a draw. G1 queen, or is it a draw? White might be winning again.
But Black didn't promote.
This is the most amazing endgame I've ever seen. Rook e7 though, and it probably is a draw.
Oh my!
But Robert trying to zigzag his way up to knock the Black king out of its orbit. I'll show what happened after the game.
This has been an incredible rook endgame. To all out there who think that rook endgames are boring, this had it all.
Oh, Robert's winning now. Rook h7. Sorry, rook h8, rook g8, and rook b2. He can win the pawn. Robert will.
He's calculating it 2 seconds. 1 stone flag.
See, wait. If Black promotes, it's a win, but Robert missed a pretty simple win there. He could have won the pawn, but I don't see a draw here for Black. Rook h7, rook g8. It still is probably winning though. Will he gain some time on his clock? He's gotten the rook to where it wants to be. Now rook b2, rook b2, rook b2 wins. Rook g1,
and he
though.
played it. Rook g1, king f3, rook f1, still holding on for now.
King f3 and rook f2 is winning, or rook f2 and king e3.
Nice.
Robert is going to win. Oh my
After blundering
goodness.
and then the opponent blundered back. What a crazy rook endgame
And
this has
you can see
been.
Obregon, he's putting his head down. He is in disbelief. Let me rewind as he lets his time run out to the critical moment of the game. Robert,
He resigned indeed in
great
that
defense
moment.
by Black. Robert overpresses. He lets the pawn run.
Robert
And,
with the let's go there. Let's go. He stays. He eliminated Obregon, so he'll face board 3 of the Argentina Krakens. And this is what was missed earlier. Let's go back to that position, Daniel.
Well,
indeed.
I'm shocked because in this position, the simple G1 equals queen. Okay, there's one check. You go king G2. The game is over. Robert would have lost, but he plays rook takes before, completely forgetting that after rook h8 check, or Robert could have even grabbed the rook first. This was even, but Robert going for the win there with rook h8. And if Black promotes to a queen, Black actually loses rook g8 check. And you can't even defend the queen because you're going to get checkmated. Maybe Black still had a draw here somehow. I think that what Obregon had to do was start giving checks to the king. Rook d7 check. And there's, you know, if Robert walks too far to the other side, then Black promotes, goes king f2 and king e3. But Obregon in shock, he goes rook g7, and Robert finding a way, zigzagging hither and thither, and eventually getting the rook to the g file and picking off that g2 pawn. Incredible.
What a game. What an endgame this has been. Grandmaster Robert Hess wins and stays on the team. So this is an elimination ladder format. He will now face board 3 of the Argentina Krakens, Leandro Crisa. And if he wins again, he will keep staying and eliminating the opponent's team. That is the strategy, obviously. But can he do it again? They're going to start the game in no time. They are just getting ready for the match.
They're getting ready. It's going to be Robert with the black pieces against Leandro Crisa. Well, when you win a game like this, it gives you so much confidence. And very often you just cruise to more wins. If Robert can knock out 2 or even 3, hey, maybe he'll knock out everybody on the Argentina team. Maybe they won't even need the services of MBL. But right now, this is a stunning defeat. Obregon, he climbs back. That's what happens when you've got a time scramble, when you've got so many nerves. You literally have the craziest turnarounds. And that's why we all watch.
It was epic. It had it all. Robert was winning and then losing and then winning again, but it was also draw somewhere in between. But with no time on the clock, both players made mistakes, and Robert will be back now to face board 3 of the Argentina Krakens. This is now Robert with the black pieces.
Indeed. And Leandro and Robert is not moving. Does he see that the game has started? There it is. Now,
G6.
Leandro had a rough tournament in the arena. He scored, I think, below 50%. So I would say Robert is probably the slight favorite in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts on the sort of hippo that Robert really likes to play in Blitz. D6,
I wonder if this is where
etc.
Tacton got the hippo from, even if he claimed on the PogChamp show that it runs in the family. It has been running in the family for hundreds of years. Maybe it's Robert Hess in the end. Now I can see that.
Generations of Tectones played it. Leandro, of course, is an extremely capable Blitz player. I've lost to him before in Title Tuesdays. He is very strong attacking player. So will Argentina be able to stop the bleeding, defeat Robert Hess, and equalize the match? Let's see. H4, Crisa going directly for Black's king here.
I wonder what will Robert do? Is it time to push something to the 5th rank, or is it not time for that? The hippo is oftentimes a strategy of the 6th rank, but at some point you need to go more active. Yes.
I really like what Leandro is doing here, going H5, provoking G5, and that would create a pretty big hole on F5. Also, look at the time situation. Over 3 minutes for Crisa and Hess. Robert, of course, he likes to take his time, but he's got to be careful already. He's got down in 2 minutes.
He needs to be very careful indeed, and he needs to react precisely to this pawn push. What will he do? What do you think?
I mean, I feel like he probably should do nothing. Maybe like go A5 or go, knight C6. Does this move? The E-ball bar seems to think this already loses.
Oh, what
So
is the
what?
punchline here?
Trying to figure out bishop e3. Well, that's probably not it, but who knows? Oh, bishop takes f7. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe some
What?
crazy tactics.
Hmm.
Knight h4 now looks really unpleasant for black, because that creates the threat of bishop takes f7.
Will Leandro play it now? He spent some time for the first time in the game. He is calculating, and it's the right moment for it. This is a critical decision.
Yeah, definitely. He's got to decide how to apply more pressure on that king side. Does he go knight h4? Does he go knight h2 and then knight g4? A lot of decisions here. A lot of potential candidate moves to think about. Knight h2.
To bring the knight to g4 potentially and get the queen into the game.
I would consider going d5 if I were Robert, using this very opportunity to strike in the center, try to change the course of the game. But that requires more thinking time. He's down a half of his time again, only after 15 moves have been played.
Huge time advantage for Leandro. Queen e7 is Robert's choice to then bring the rook in potentially to the d file.
Yeah.
So the d and e files is where the black rooks can go, but at the same time, he's not stopping white's initiative on the king side, knight g4, or is there any other move that Leandro is considering, Danya?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with knight g4 is that after knight takes, queen takes, something I just noticed is the d4 pawn is actually lost. So he goes bishop c2 as a kind of potential waiting move. Also, the bishop lines up with the king, something Robert's going to have to be really careful about if this e pawn ever is to disappear.
Yeah, and that means that white can also look at potential pawn pushes of f4 in the right moment to try to get that pawn out of the way. Bishop c8, rerouting the bishop.
Yeah, and stopping knight g4, which is, I think, pretty much a nice practical move. White, only black would benefit in the event of d5. Robert wants white to close down the center so that he could focus on protecting his king side. Leandro bringing the heavy pieces in. Here comes the queen.
This is such a tough position for Robert. It's solid, but he always has to watch out for tactical patterns and be very precise with the defense.
Yeah, this is a bad position for black, but it's also hard for white to figure out how to improve, because all these squares, f5, g5, are protected by black's pawns. White certainly doesn't want to take on g6 and open up the f file for black's pieces.
I think if we refresh the game, we hopefully get back their time. And
there we go.
The game goes on with 1:20 left for Leandro versus 1 minute of Robert. It's getting close.
It's getting close, and I think neither side really knows how to improve. We might see moves like a5, a3. When neither side knows what to do, you often see grandmasters kind of starting to move pawns on the side of the board. Robert, though, he's burning into that last minute, trying to figure out how should he retool his pieces. Knight back to g8. This enables knight g4, but does white even want to play that move? The queen could come out to h4 if you're not careful.
Queen could come out indeed, and later, perhaps at some point, f5 will also work. I can't make it work yet for black, but I would be scared if it actually works at some future stage.
Now Leandro is down to under a minute. So another time scramble is probably on the cards. Yeah, I would go a5 here with black just to keep
40 seconds.
Yeah, every move is taking Robert well over 10 seconds, which is not good in such a complicated position.
It's already after 2 hours of Arena. Both players obviously must be tired, but such an important game for the team of Robert. France currently leading.
Yeah, Robert would really do a lot of damage if you won another game. Knight back to d8. Bishop could come to a2 potentially. That doesn't do too much. I think Robert's trying to get his knight over to the center, going over to e6.
Yeah.
Very
even a draw.
Position.
Yeah, I was just thinking that even a draw obviously would eliminate Robert, but he would also eliminate the opponent's player. So anything that's scoring, even if it's half a point, means a lot for the French team here.
Very much so. And d5, Leandro finally deciding, in fact, to close down the position. There's a5. Now the attention is switched over to the queen side, where white is also kind of pressuring. Here comes c4. But Robert, very solid here, rook a8. It's going to be very hard to crack black's defenses as Leandro himself gets down to 30 seconds.
And that a5 is about to open up when black wants to open it up.
He does, and he's going to double on the A file while attacking the B pawn. Good idea. Robert's going to take control of the A file, and it's unclear now who benefits from the opening of the queen side. He's going to double, and Leandro's probably going to go rook A1. This is a pretty dry position at this point. One thing worries me about Robert is his knight on B7 has no prospect. That pawn on B4 is restricting it completely.
It takes such a long time to activate that. You would need to go on a very long knight maneuver.
Indeed. Robert activates his knight. Leandro, in turn, will probably go bishop G5.
10 seconds left for Robert. There's only a 2-second increment per move.
Yeah, bishop back to D2. I would go bishop F6 and cover those G5 square. I don't like Leandro's last move, but this is going to be so close. And will Robert actually attack the king side? Oh, great decision by Krisa to trade when he did.
Queen E8 to bring the rook over to A8.
Well, he played B5 here, try to trap the bishop.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I guess he didn't want to give up the C5 square, but maybe it was worth it if the bishop doesn't ever return.
Right, now black is still worse, but so far, Robert has held together the position. I would drop the queen back to D8 here. Might have a draw, it's unclear. Big, okay, bishop H6.
Oh, where to go with the king now? Robert is down to 8 seconds.
White's down to 15, but that's a pretty big difference. Leandro going full steam ahead, going back. Something there that he didn't like. As Robert, he can start pushing the G pawn. You know, black can start playing for a win here if white's not careful, and Leandro choosing a great opportunity to infiltrate with his queen. This is heating up. Oh, buckle your
Knight made it to
seatbelts.
F7 indeed, and now it's the white knight that is more misplaced.
C5, Leandro breaking through on the queen side, but this doesn't really carry any threats. Instead, we see trades, and we might see a queen trade. I think, no, queen B8, he keeps the queens on the board. I would move the king if I were Robert. There it is.
It's just 12 seconds for both players, basically living on the 2-second increment.
Robert activates his queen. Queen C6 is a nice move. 7, but now queen B1. Queen B1 looks really scary, but Robert's starting with G3.
G3 so that the king cannot get out of the back rank. He wanted to play maybe queen B1 and a move later.
Now black is playing for an advantage because that pawn on E4 cannot be defended. You can't defend that pawn and keep the knight protected at the same time. Oh man, this is all of a sudden better for black.
I think it will take, he takes the time. Obviously, he didn't want to trade that bishop, so he's waiting to capture on E4.
Now 2 seconds for Leandro. He's lost control of this, but can he hold a draw? Still probably closer to equal than anything. I would not trade. Robert trades. I would not go for that trade. Now white's better again.
Oh, with that pass pawn.
Knight H4, knight F5. Robert should have never traded those queens. Now black has to be very careful to hold that draw. But
he's trying to regroup his pieces, but there's not much room there.
That was really well done, though. Just in time. Knight E7 and king G6. And I mean, anything can happen if white's not careful, but I think it's just to draw knight F5.
Everything is held together by a tempo.
And, you know, black could play for a win here potentially with knight G3 and king F5. King F5 and knight E4. He will. Knight H5, knight F4 is another maneuver. And with 2 seconds, white can end up losing all of his pawns. Oh my goodness, he's going to lose the pawn.
And it's a knight fork if he doesn't step out of it.
Oh my gosh. Now, it's still probably close to a draw. But can white get to either of those pawns? Can white win at least one of them? Or can Robert hold them together? Black is the only one who can win this game. E4 by Robert and D5, just pushing the pawn, simplest choice.
Then the bishop can come in with a check to C5.
And it will. And this is by this point probably winning knight B5 also fine. Now he takes the pawn. We might see a knight and bishop checkmate. But Robert
might go down to that indeed.
Black is winning. Oh, he blunders the piece. He blunders the bishop. He blundered. He didn't take it. He didn't take the bishop. Oh my God.
They both blundered that the B4 bishop was hanging.
Oh my God. And now bishop B4. Where's the win for black? I would give a check and go D2. That's the only try.
Oof, at least
my
now the bishop is not
goodness.
hanging.
He repeats once. I would repeat once and go d2.
And then bring, yeah, indeed, that's what he's doing.
Maybe knight c3. No, that doesn't work. Bishop c3. Bishop c3, I think, is the winning move.
5
I'm not
seconds.
Sure,
He plays bishop c3.
knight c4. Knight c4, king d5. Knight c4, king d5. Knight d4 check. Oh my goodness. No, that's a blunder. Or is it? It is a blunder.
So difficult with 5 seconds on the clock to calculate
Oh
it
my
precisely.
Knight c4 is a draw. And Leandro will save it. Oh my goodness.
Robert knows it.
Robert does
He
know
had
he
it.
was so close. He had it in the bag in the end, but with no time on the clock, it is just impossible. So he is going to knock out 2 of Argentina's players.
But he will be eliminated too. So we're going to move on to board 3 of the French team versus board 2 of the Argentina Krakens. But what a run this has been for Robert Hess,
Indeed.
who started not so well in the arena. And then in the second half, he started scoring more and more points and eliminated 2 of the Argentinian players. A reminder on the format that we're going to have a lot more excitement coming up next, because board 3 of the France Roosters will play against board 2 of the Argentina Kraken. So this is a ladder knockout format, and eventually you need to eliminate every single player of the opponent's team, meaning that the final boss of each team, board 1, will need to be defeated too.
Indeed. And oh my goodness, what a crazy sequence of events we saw there. Just unbelievable. But Robert, a great performance, and Argentina's got 2 boards left. They're going to have to fire on all cylinders to defeat the 3 players left over for France.
We're going to take a short break and then return with the remaining matches to see whether it's going to be France or Argentina that qualifies to the next stage of the Pro Chess League.
Welcome back. And remember, there is a lot of new merch available. Lots of swag, t-shirts, you name it, all sorts of designs. Go to go.chess.com/merch and shop away. Make sure to get your chess.com gear. Wow. And what an incredible day it has been. I was told to ask you about a certain mattress, Hannah, but I'll be respectful. I won't do it.
It's okay. I almost had a nervous breakdown. No, that's fine. That's fine. My mattress was to be delivered yesterday, right before the show was gonna start, because it was only 3.5 hours late for delivery. Happens. It's Spain, but I love Spain regardless of this punctuality.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've been in that situation. But right now, Argentina is in a situation where they have 2 players left, Leonardo Tristan and Perez Ponza. France has 3 players left. Right now, we're going to see board 3 of France, Sebastian Mazet, play against Tristan. And I wouldn't say this is obviously, technically, this is not a must-win for Argentina, but I feel like if Mazet can at the very least make a draw, that's going to put tremendous pressure on Argentina's top board, Anna.
Indeed, and that's because Robert Hess for the French team has done a fantastic job. He eliminated board 4 and board 3 of the Argentina Krakens. The latter game was a draw, but it meant that both Robert and Leandro Crisa were to be eliminated in this ladder format, which is a really exciting format that also means that France basically has draw odds. If they keep making draws, it doesn't favor the Argentina Krakens. They will be eliminated from the Pro Chess League.
Yeah. And after just an incredible comeback in the arena, we remind you that Poland was cruising. They were up 25, I think even at one point close to 30 points on Argentina. And then in the last 30 minutes, an absolutely furious comeback as essentially every Argentinian player pulled off some heroics to surpass Poland in the final, literally the final seconds of the arena. Will they continue their incredible run? Well, we're about to see as the games will begin any second.
Indeed, and for that success for the Krakens, Leonardo Tristan was one of the key players. He's here to face now France's board 3, Sebastian Mazet. We had so many strong players in the field of the arena that we didn't even get to see one game of Grandmaster Mazet, and he is a very strong player himself. Obviously, he has been playing on the French team for a long time and also has been on captain duties sometimes for the Olympic team.
Indeed, and it apparently, I think, game may have begun. Let's see.
They see Robert's last game, the draw between the two players. As much as we like that position.
Yes, the game has begun. We are in the opening stage here. And we have a Queen's Gambit. As Mazet has the white pieces here, he's got a pretty comfortable position in the early going. C5 being prepared here by Black.
I wonder if he's going to try to stop it. Not that it's easy to stop C5. Black's pieces are very much preparing for that push. But what can White use this one tempo, this one move for in the meantime? Knight E2.
Knight E2, trying to get that knight off of E4, which makes sense. And Black could go F5 to support it. That would make a lot of sense if Black wanted to insist on C5. Or we could see a trade. Black could take either of the knights. If you do take a knight, I would take the one on C3 so that the queen remains aligned with the black rook.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I would like that formation too. Let's see if Leonardo will take quite some time for the decision, because time is obviously part of the game too. This is Blitz 3+2 is the time control for the ladder knockout.
Yeah, and he goes knight F6, deciding to keep the tension but defend it with a knight. Yeah, the position's probably about equal. I mean, White could take the knight again. Now White could decide which knight to take Black's knight with. It's just a tongue twister to even say all of the options that are available. Knight could take two knights could take one knight. Okay, Mazet deciding to do neither. He goes rook A1, but I would be concerned about C5.
Mm-hmm. It seems to be the moment for Black to push indeed. C5, yeah, he must be calculating that.
Yeah, maybe it's too early. Who knows? Maybe just a move like rook F8. Nope, there comes C5. And Sebastian very quickly taking on C5 with a pawn. Again, posing an important decision to Black. Rook takes C5, and probably the queen's going to slide over to B2.
Yeah, you got to leave that C file and guard the C3 knight at the same time.
Correct.
Sebastian is shaking his head. It's not exactly how he wanted the position to unfold.
No, this does not look, I'm not sure I like knight d2. Rook ac1 seemed a little bit too nonchalant. And, well, after queen b2, black might have an annoying move, queen e5, creating another pin. So
that must be what he doesn't like, because queen b2 is such a natural response here, but queen e5, how do you defend the c3 knight with yet another piece?
There is knight f3 in that position hitting the queen, so maybe queen e5 should be played after a preliminary exchange, but in either case, black has a lot of annoying, nasty moves there. The alternative is just to take on e4, which he just did. But after pawn takes e4, one interesting thing to notice is that the rook can potentially swing on over to the king side, creating very unpleasant threats. So Mazet has to be very careful here not to slip further into an already dubious position. Knight g4 could be considered. This isn't looking very good for white.
I think Leonardo must be thinking about the kingside attack with knight g4, bringing the rook over first. He can also develop the f8 rook. That's the last piece that hasn't come into the game yet. But this certainly feels like a moment where black can take the initiative.
Yeah, and it's very important to get this right. He's taking his time, approaching 1 minute. Queen e5, his decision, but that allows knight c4. In fact, it walks right into it. Knight e2 instead by Mazet.
And now knight
g4,
g4.
the first mate threat of the game. I would go knight g3 with white, because if you go knight f4, then you might be walking into g5.
He does indeed play knight g3.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is the best way for black to go about
And if
developing the kingside
h5
pressure.
to threaten h4.
Oh, that's an interesting move, because then if white goes h3, you might see knight takes c3. He goes for f5, and h3 could always be met with this knight takes e3 move. Be very careful about that. We have
Rook
a rook
trade.
trade. It's probably about equal, the position. Rook c1. Okay.
Will the queen retreat? Could go to d6 to attack the knight.
Now knight c4, and white could even follow this up with h3. Will Leonardo sack on f2 and go f4? That could be what he's intending here.
That would be crazy if he calculates that and believes in the attack there.
I think he does. I think it's one of those cases you don't really have a choice, because if you drop the knight back to f6, you drop the pawn on f5, you got to sack on f2. And I think he should have done that faster.
Yeah, he's taking so long. Sebastian is smiling. I don't know if it was for just like, okay, this is an exciting position, or just acknowledging the sacrifice will come.
Right. I think it's going to come. He's down to 18 seconds. He's got to move. It's going to be very hard to figure out the ramifications, and there it is.
15 seconds, and he goes for it.
Now, will Sebastian take it? There is rook f1 here. You don't have to take the knight, but he does, and here comes f4. Okay. Now, practically speaking, and knight takes e4, good decision by Sebastian, playing very quickly. He did all the calculation on black's turn. Queen f4 probably, but then knight c to d6 would defend both knights at the same time. Apparently, this was a very bad move, and the reason is knight c to d6, hitting the bishop. Black's initiative begins to run out of steam. Queen d3, and this is winning for white. Queen h4, I think, was the big mistake. And there comes queen d3. White should be comfortably winning up a piece.
And Leonardo knows it. He's shaking his head.
He's got a smothered mate. He can go queen c4 and knight f7, and I think he sees it.
Yeah, he's calculating it. He paused.
This is a tactic that a GM would see while skydiving, knight f7, and there it is.
Skydiving. And eliminating Tristan. This could be it. Board 2 of the Argentina Krakens is going down.
Smothered mate. It is smothered mate after king h8, queen g8, rook g8, knight f7. Unfortunate game for the Krakens, who jumped out to a good position, but maybe taking too long on the sacrifice didn't give him a lot of time to figure out a follow-up. Well done here by Mazet, who kept his cool.
Yeah, indeed. Daniel, I was just going to ask you, what do you think was the right follow-up? Queen to f4 then instead of queen h4 or e2?
I think it was just to push the pawn. And after rook e1, it would take me a while here to figure it out. I don't see exactly how to protect this pawn. I mean, the eval bar suggests that there is something here. Rook f1 maybe. No, but rook f1 doesn't work. White just takes that rook. So who knows? It's something complicated, and there's not enough time to find it. And Sebastian Mazet knocks out another Argentinian player. who
That
now
means
are down
that
to the top
so
board.
far, indeed, both Robert Hess and Sebastian Mazet are doing the heavy lifting for the French Roosters. It may be the case that Envia doesn't even need to play if now the final last man standing of the Argentina Krakens, Perez Ponza, doesn't win. He's in a must-win situation in 3 games in a row. Even if he wins the next one, he has to win again and then again. A draw will mean that the French Roosters will be winning and qualifying.
Indeed, a draw will not suffice. So if Mazet sees a draw, he should absolutely go for it to secure the match. But Perez Ponza, he's got tremendous blitz experience. He's super strong. And if anybody can pull off 3 wins in a row, he's definitely capable of it. But it seems that the French players, well, they're in great form today. So we will see how this goes. I'm not sure how Mazet did in the overall arena. As you said, we had so many people to watch. We weren't quite able to follow him, but the game has just begun.
Federico Perez Ponza with the white pieces in a must-win situation since he's the last player of the Argentina Krakens, and he has to win if they want a chance to fight on.
Mazet is a specialist in the accelerated dragon. He played it against me in our over-the-board game, and he sticks to what he knows, which is always a good decision in blitz.
Is blitzing out indeed those initial opening moves, gaining time instead of spending time.
Okay, now a5. The pawn usually comes out to a4, and this knight will swing out back to d7, offering a trade of dark squared bishops. This is called the Morozzi bind structure.
Knight to d7, I think will happen. Any other options here for black would mean usually bringing the rooks, but it's still, of course, up to Federico how he will try to spice up the position, because knight d7 will come next move most likely.
Yeah, he might also put something on c8 or on e8. But I think knight d7 is the, or a4. I mean, his pawn
Also
could advance all the way to a4, although it could become a weakness there. Yeah, he does decide on rook fc8, but definitely knight d7 is probably coming. And what makes me uncomfortable here is that Perez Ponce is spending a while. He might not be as familiar with the typical ideas in this position as Mazet, who's played the accelerated now for many, many years.
And it is Federico who is in a must-win situation, so that's an additional level of pressure. You probably can't always be objective. You need to keep the position as complex as possible.
And he decides on pawn to a4, very committal move, freezing black's pawn on a5, but obviously creating holes on b4 and c5. This also could be a potential stronghold for his knight. There's knight d7. e6.
And now bishop g4.
Mazet's got a great position now. This is a good start for the Frenchman out of the opening. No advantage here at all, I think, for white.
Yeah, I wonder what was the follow-up that Federico was counting on. Is he trying to attack the d6 pawn? Is it knight b5 in the right moment? But that will lead to that knight being traded.
It might be both. I mean, he might go queen d2 here, but he might be concerned about that d7 knight coming out to c5 and, you know, hitting all of white's weak squares on the king side. He's now a minute down on the clock, even more. And he would definitely be the favorite in a time scramble, but Mazet has spent 6 seconds of his clock.
6 seconds, that's
95.
crazy. Going
Now
for the piece sacrifice.
Yeah, and after ed cd, that bishop is going to be trapped. So very interesting decision. Mazet could take with the bishop and then play e5, which I think is what he's going for. Great decision there for Sebastian. Position seems to be right about equal. White could try c5 here, but then black interposes with f5. I think that's what he's calculating.
It must be. It must be. Federico is obviously trying to find something that can make the position crazier and break through. Mm-hmm. He has to win this game for the Krakens.
That is not going to necessarily make it any more complicated, but he had to take that knight. And there comes f4. See, this is an attempt to spice things up. Mazet, though, look at the speed. He is so confident in these positions. It's still a pretty typical accelerated structure. I don't see black losing this game. He's going to go b6. And even if black does nothing, he's got the one. He's the one with the protected passer. And white is the one now under a minute on the clock.
Such a sad story for the Krakens who fought so hard to get the third place and a chance to play in this ladder match, but the French team is proving to be stronger. It seems that Sébastien Mazet will do the job. Board 3 and board 4, Sébastien Mazet and Robert Hess will be the heroes of the French Roosters.
Right. Barring, I wouldn't say a miracle. I'd say that anything could still happen in this game, but the way the confidence with which Mazet is playing is indicating to me that he has everything completely under control. I would throw in b6 if I were black, just, solidifying the structure. Instead, he occupies the f file with his rook. Perez Ponza needs some sort of a turnaround to happen here. He is a beast at tactics. He knows how to create chances. But right now, I don't even see a single avenue to go down. Maybe rook f7. Mazet has a lot of moves he could play to improve his position. And there comes b6.
That is a sad story for the Krakens, but the other side of the coin, the French team will qualify to the next stage of the Pro Chess League unless something incredible happens. A mouse slip, it would take a very big mistake from Sébastien Mazet.
Yeah, Sebastian is he's so skilled in these accelerated dragon positions. I've looked at a lot of his games. He is one of the more experienced players in this opening, and it really has shown this game as he's executed these moves with confidence and precision. Perez trying to activate his queen. I would just double rooks on the F file here and basically ask white, well, how are you going to make progress? Maybe b4, but then that rook's going to swing over to b2 and pin the queen. Instead, he goes after the b6 pawn. One final attempt to crash through in this position.
What will black do?
Queen
just
F7.
Activate the queen.
Well, wait a second. He wants to take on g2 and have some sort of a perpetual. It hasn't calculated that accurately. I think white might be able to take on b6. I'm not sure. It goes rook g4.
Federico decides to put a stop on that sacrifice on g2.
But h5 could be extremely hard to deal with, as the rook is going to have to drop back to g3. And the queen could swoop into f4. That might simply be winning for black. No, he's got h4.
Oh, he plays h4 first.
That was a really bad move. Queen f4 was winning on the spot for black. That was a really bad move. Now he's got to go, but rook f4 would still make a draw, I think. Rook f4 would still make a draw.
I think Sebastian's realizing that he missed his chance.
Yeah, but I mean, all he needs is a draw, and he calms himself down and figures out how to continue properly. Now, queen takes
7 seconds left.
Takes queen f4. Yeah. Queen f1. Okay, he takes on c4. He is rushing. He should take his time here, but it's still fine for black. Queen f1.
Federico with no time left, just continuously going back to 7 seconds with a 2-second increment.
Yeah, no, it's rook f7, queen c4, goes queen d8, maybe queen d1 here, but for black. And king h2. Queen takes h4.
Almost lost some time, 0.4 seconds.
He's got a perpetual. He should go for it. Does he know that a draw knocks white out?
He should know it.
Has a perpetual. He should
know it, and he should go for it.
Perpetual wins the match. Now, he might be verifying that, but he should not even think about going for a win. And he does. Very nice job here by Mazet.
For the
Robert
team.
Hess and Sebastian Mazet knock out the entire Argentinian 4 players with an excellent performance. And the France Roosters, they advance.
That has been an incredible match. We have seen France doing very well in the arena, but they also had to prove in the ladder format against the Argentina Krakens that they are the ones who deserve to qualify. The Argentina Krakens fought so hard for the 3rd place. They were always behind the Poland Hussars. Then they managed to flip it at the end of the arena. But in the end, the French team, Robert Hess and Sebastian Mazet, taking it home for the French team, meaning that MVL didn't even have to play.
He didn't. He was just relaxing, having a good time watching his teammates carry the team. And I love this ladder format. I think it creates such excitement, and it offers people the chance to be a hero. But unfortunately, it was not Federico Perez Ponce's day. He had his struggles in the arena. The Argentinian team is so strong, but today it was not meant to be, as the France Roosters claim that coveted 2nd spot. And
they claim it indeed.
I'm not sure who carries the most points by single player prize. It might be, I think it might be Nihal Sarin. And of course, India, the the yogis, they were just on a completely different level today, Anna.
Exactly. We'll take a short break and then sum up everything that has just happened and what's coming up next. So don't go anywhere. We still have a few more bits and pieces of information to tell you about and what's going to happen next in the Pro Chess League. We are returning in a few minutes.
Welcome back to the Pro Chess League, and it's been an incredible day of action as we had the Arena Royale followed by the playoff between the second and third place. And France defeating Argentina in that, India going absolutely bonkers in the arena, winning by, I think, over 100 points. Anna, it's been an amazing day of action.
It's been an
a real pleasure.
amazing day. Yeah, we're just going to tell the viewers that if they don't want to miss the action, they should follow us on all social media platforms because we are literally everywhere, even on TikTok. I didn't know that we were streaming PogChamps on TikTok too. So make sure to follow your favorite social media platforms, the Chess.com account you can see on the screen, and !Discord if you want to join the Chess.com Discord channel.
Absolutely. You should be in the loop about all of the cool developments on all of the platforms. And you should also be in the loop about the teams that are part of Group C. And as I understand it, this will be happening on Sunday, right?
Indeed, tomorrow we take a break from the Pro Chess League for the Grand Prix to take place. But then on Sunday, Group C will return with the Canada Chessbrahs, Norway Gnomes, German Bears, and Netherlands Mosquitoes participating. All of them are regular Pro Chess League teams. And the names, Danya, what do you think of these team rosters?
Those names. We've got Anish Giri, Jordan van Forest, legend upon legend, Luc van Whaley for the Netherlands Mosquitoes. That's a name that might be a little bit less familiar to younger members of the chat, but he is a former 2700. He is an elite player, and I'm so very looking forward to watching people like him and Simon Augustin, the older generation, carrying the torch. So it's going to be a great day of action.
It's going to be amazing. And as our producer pointed out, top 3 Dutch players playing on the Chessbrahs team. They have been signed by Eric Hansen. Obviously, Robin van Kampen and Eric Hansen have been long-time Chessbrahs on the channel, but Anish Giri and Jordan van Forest have joined them too a few years ago. So the Chessbrahs looking strong for this team composition, but the other teams can surprise too, in my opinion. In terms of the schedule, as we already mentioned, tomorrow we take a break from the Pro Chess League. So Group C will return on Sunday. And then Danya, you are playing on Monday in Group D.
I am playing on Monday. I'll be representing California, my hometown team. And I'm so excited for that. This day has even made me more excited. I can't wait to jump in myself and face off against all these legends. I'll have some great teammates.
That's a lovely team mascot you guys have, the unicorn. I always thought that was one of the cutest of drawings. Maybe that's not how you guys think about it. Maybe it needs to be like an invincible unicorn and you guys want to dominate Group D. That's going to happen on Monday. Danya, it has been a pleasure to commentate with you. I hope that we will be paired together more often in the future, because this took Chess.com years to actually put us on the same roster.
Likewise, Anna, it's an honor. It's a pleasure. You're awesome, and this tournament is awesome. And of course, a big thank you also to everybody watching on all the platforms and to our producer making it all seamless. So thank you.
Huge shout out to the team behind the scenes. Indeed, it's a lot of heavyweight lifting from the entire squad of Chess.com. And thanks so much again, as you said, Danya, to our viewers tuning in on all sorts of platforms. Make sure to be here tomorrow for the Grand Prix as well. And then we'll return with Pro Chess League on Sunday. See you guys soon again.
Goodbye.